Okay, welcome to the Video Game Book Club. We finally finished Dragon Age Tevinter Nights. It's like probably the biggest book we've ever read yet.
It is definitely the longest. It's almost 500 pages. So.
It's pretty chunky. It does not have an audiobook, so for me.
You can what is it, Bioware? If you would like to hire us, we would do your audiobook for you.
I do my best. So this is 15 short stories from across Thedas. There's 15, yeah. Which is a lot. It took us a while.
We had some life events, so we definitely put a pause on it because it was the winter time.
And it was chonky and intimidating too.
Yeah, so these are 15 stories, and I would say I was trying to read one a day, and then
I was trying to do that too.
Reading them at night, and the middle of the stories put me to sleep a little bit, so it ended up taking me like 2 days to read
a really hard time reading more than one a day. I'd read one a day, and then I'd be like, I really, really don't want to read another one.
They are not connected in any way, besides the fact that they're in the age of Dragon Age.
They're after Dragon Age Inquisition. They're before Veilguard, and this book is really, really important for Veilguard. In fact, half the new characters in Veilguard, more than half, come from this book.
I will tell you as someone who's only played one Dragon Age game.
I love Dragon Age, and I'm sad that she doesn't.
Some of it was hard, and I wrote this in the review that I put on Fable. It's like, you can follow. I followed along. It was hard to get into the stories because it was naming all these people that I'm like, I feel like I should know who these people are, but I don't.
You wouldn't know who, like, any of these people are because you only played Origins, and Origins is so unimportant for this.
But also at this point, since we read so much Dragon Age, I feel
now you know so much. You should play Veilguard. I think you would enjoy, because you actually don't need to have played anything else to play Veilguard other than read this book, because this book is so. While I was playing Veilguard, characters would show up and I'd be like, wait, I know you, and then I'd go flip through my notes I took for this book and I'd be like, yeah, you're from this story.
But I could follow along. It took me a little bit to get started in each story to figure out kind of what was going on, but you can follow along. I don't think you need Dragon Age game experience, but it definitely helps.
I think you do.
It definitely helps.
I think this is pretty dense for somebody who doesn't know anything about Dragon Age.
I could come follow. It's very similar to like every other
What did you remember from Dragon Age?
That we were a dwarf and we got made fun of, and then there was the elf that betrayed us. The people don't like elves in this game.
They never did.
Which I feel like is
classic fantasy trope.
Except for, I feel like Lord of the Rings, there is like this love of elves, and
which is what they're mystical and like.
Yeah, they're supposed to be the smarty pants and more advanced.
Well, they don't really mingle with other. Don't they just kind of go off and do their own thing?
But isn't the lore of Lord of the Rings that the?
I don't know. I only read The Hobbit.
You read the Silmarillion.
I did read the Silmarillion.
The oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm in different fantasy worlds right now. Names, not the Uruk-hai, but weren't they elves?
I think so.
The orcs.
Yeah, I think they were.
Yeah.
That usually happens, though. Orcs are usually, like, fucked up elves.
Yeah, because there was the goblins, but they only really show up in the Hobbit. But.
Yeah, this is after Dragon Age Inquisition and Trespasser. I definitely would recommend reading this after beating those games and the DLC Trespasser, because it's really, that one has a big spoiler. If you haven't gotten spoiled already, because to be honest, Veilguard spoils the big twist in Inquisition. So, if you've seen any ads for it, you're probably like, oh, dip, I'm too late. You don't have to.
I don't know anything that Sally's saying right now. But we read the comic and we read one other book, didn't we, before this?
The comic was really unnecessary, and the comic happens right after Tevinter Nights.
But it helped with that.
Comic would be so much better to read.
I'm supposed to know who this Neve lady is, and Savvy and Fable Neve is like, oh yeah, she was in the comic, and then I googled it. She's like, oh, she's the one in the stupid hat that we were making fun of.
She's a companion in Veilguard. She's amazing. But yeah, I apologize for that episode about the comic, because I didn't know jack shit about Dragon Age, I thought, until I read this book and I replayed Inquisition, and I'm playing Veilguard. Did the comic
come out before the game?
Yeah, because it's like it directly ties into the game.
Mm-hmm.
So does this, but the comic also ties in to
there's an
Tevinter Nights
too, by the way, that I never even opened. There's a map in here, and I didn't even open it.
I'm gonna say if there's a dog snoring in the background, so you might hear that.
He is a little bit of a chunky monkey, and he snores when he breathes. He's working on it.
You might be hearing a little wheezing. That is
not us. That is Rusty. He is our third.
He's just here, just hanging out, wanting to know more about Dragon Age.
He does. Is very excited. This book came out in 2020.
I actually bought this at my local bookstore. Mm-hmm. And it started up a conversation with the person about how excited we were about Dreadwolf coming out, and then it changed to Veilguard. I'm so mad about that, but you know what? I'm not gonna bring it up. I brought it up too many times. You get it. I don't like the name change.
You rated this book 4 stars.
Yes.
I gave it like 3.5. I thought for a collection of short stories, because I've read several collections of short stories, there tends to be like 2 or 3 that are really good, and most of them kind of suck. But this, I feel like as a collection, worked
pretty good.
Better. There were a couple of stories that...
Well, obviously in short story collections, there's always going to be some stinkers.
Yeah. And I felt the way that the stories were arranged was a little odd. But
I think they actually put the most important stories, I would say the most important stories at the end.
I was not a huge fan of the last story, but the last
story
word
juicy.
In it is, I feel like, important for it to, it's the last sentence of this entire collection, and that last story is, after all, the Dreadwolf wasn't going to stop himself. Which
is like the mantra of the whole Veilguard game and the comic that we read. I gave it 4 stars because I thought, even though I had trouble reading more than one at a time, the lore dumps you get in this collection, if you're a big Dragon Age fan, are real juicy. They're real good.
There's a lot of lore.
There's a lot of lore, and I didn't... Dragon Age has so much to keep track of.
That was the other thing. We watched the Felicia Day thing.
Yeah, we did.
Which helped a little bit.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
I remembered that one a lot more. I had a good time watching that. That was a good time. We still have to watch the Cassandra movie. There's an anime movie we have to watch still. But that did help, especially with the Kunari.
The Kunari, yes, that was helpful. And then what is the band of elf? Start with the D. The Dalish?
The Dalish?
Dalish.
Yeah. The Dalish of Daisy. I thought the lore was really good in these. It's very dense, though. I would give it needs to be less stories. Some of the stories weren't necessary.
Yeah, some of the stories weren't necessary.
So,
that's not, because it's pretty well written. We do find out we didn't even look up all the authors, who they are, but the first story
a lot of them wrote for Dragon Age already.
Patrick Weeks is now, or Weekes.
I think it's just Weeks.
There's an ES at
Patrick
the end.
Weeks wrote, I think, Solus in Inquisition, so he's
now the head writer for the
He's
Dragon
now the
Age.
head writer for, I think, in Veilguard, but that whole situation, the writers changed all the time. Veilguard was a mess. But honestly, so was Inquisition. What game isn't? I don't want to spoil Veilguard for you, but I am going to tell you if a character is in Veilguard. Or I've seen them. I'm only halfway through the game, so I could bless you. I'm only halfway through the game, so I could have missed a character that is in Veilguard, and I haven't just seen them yet. So there is no threat of spoiler for the story, because at that point you might be like, oh, well, if this person shows up in Veilguard, that means they're not going to die, and if this person doesn't, that means they will die. So I was thinking about that.
But I feel like some of these stories could have happened before or after Veilguard.
No, this is all before.
This is all before Veilguard. Okay.
This is all before. Some of them are during the Inquisition game, and some of them are after the Inquisition game. This is after the Inquisition. It's canon in this universe that the Inquisition has been disbanded. In the game, you can choose to either give it to the Chantry or to disband it, but in these stories, that it is disbanded. So I thought you should know that ahead of time. And like I said before, there's no audiobook. So shout out to Kyle Bond, Jackdaw, and Hotflix Tom for reading these on YouTube out loud and helping me get through them. You guys saved my life, and you all did an amazing job.
So I read the book, and
she took my physical copy.
Why?
And I wish I had a physical copy.
I will be mispronouncing every name in here.
I think I'm going to trust that these guys knew what they were saying.
Okay.
And also a lot of the characters I've now met in game, so... I should be able to pronounce her name, but I might not be able to. Also, shout out to Plumig on Reddit, who wrote a summary that I used for specifically the last short story because they read more comics than I did. We actually haven't read very many Dragon Age books. We haven't read a single one. We've read one comic.
I thought this was like our
This is our first Dragon Age book.
Oh.
We read the comic and that's it.
I think because it reminds me a lot of Elden Ring.
The manga?
No, what was the other one? We read the 2 books that we really liked.
Are you talking about Elder Scrolls?
Was that the 2 books that we read? That were
the 2 books that were pretty good.
Okay.
Those are Elder Scrolls. So yeah, I borrowed some of their notes because they read the comics and they had little like side notes about this is part of the comics, this is part of this, and I thought that they would know more than I do, especially about the end story. Thank you, Plumig.
I know nothing, so my notes are just
Thank you so much. Your notes saved my life. It was nice to have them.
All right, are we jumping spoilers?
I think I said all I needed to say, so... Yeah.
If you have any suggestions on what other books you would like us to cover, please leave a comment, and we would be happy to cover them.
This is just going to spoil Inquisition, unless you care about characters that are in Veilguard, because I'm going to say it. But other than that, we should not spoil Veilguard at all for you. Okay. And Trespasser DLC. If you haven't finished Trespasser DLC, that's on you. All right, moving on. So 3 Trees to Midnight is the first story by Patrick Weeks.
Patrick Weeks. Again, if we mispronounce your name, apologies.
So Myron of Ventus, which is a Tevinter city.
Ventus is the jewel of the Tevinter Empire.
Is a prisoner of the Kunari right now. The prisoners were sent to chop down trees. Oh my god, I read this so long ago. This one I read so long ago. I remember what this one was though.
Because this is where the 2 people are paired together.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. The prisoners were sent to chop down trees. The prisoners had their hands tied together in pairs. Myron is paired with an elf named Strife.
And then we have Bastear,
and Strife,
who is the keeper of the best.
Is in Veilguard. He's also in the comic that we read. I don't know about Myron. He might be. I don't know. Yeah, Myron is paired with an elf named Strife. Myron is racist against elves.
Yeah, people hate the elves. But they're like literally chained together and their job is to cut down trees as a work prison.
Myron and the elf bicker. They get shackled together even harder after they start bickering, and then they physically get into a fight.
And Strife kicks Myron's ass.
The guards beat up Strife for kicking Myron's ass. Mm-hmm. Strife like mentally talks to this deer that he sees because he's a Dalish. Mm-hmm. They have a connection to the Hala. We found out that he's Dalish. He's a secret Dalish. He's secret. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, Hala.
Which is crazy that he's secret Dalish because he has face tattoos in the game. So I don't know how you can hide that.
Makeup.
Because as a prisoner, most...
If Rudolph can do it, so can he.
I don't know. Just put mud on his face, I guess.
Mud on your face.
Strife has a secret plan with another Dalish elf. So he asks the Kunari if he can work with another... He's like, fuck Myron. Can I work with this other Dalish elf? They're like, no, Myron has to go with you instead. You can't hang out with your own kind. Mm-hmm. So they go to where Strife's friend is in the laundry room, and it's full of...
Oh, he wants to be partnered with Thanthil because he knows alchemy. For alchemy.
So, yeah, they meet up with Strife's friend in the laundry room, and the laundry room is full of mages who are mindless husks, which I believe is called being tranquil.
They give him this brown liquid.
Oh, no, they're not tranquil. Or they are tranquil. No, because tranquils aren't mindless husks. Tranquils can still talk to you.
They gave them too much of the brown
aren't
juice.
Connected to the Fade anymore. So, yeah, they were being given quamic that turns people into zombies.
That left them walking corpses.
The Kunari try to force feed Strife the quamic, but Marin and Strife take out the guard, and then we find out that Marin is a secret mage. So we have 2 secret.
He's a magister.
He's a magister.
He shoots lightning from his fingers,
which is like high-ranking Tevinter person.
And he's like, "Well, you're stupid." Now they saw that Strife is talking to Myra, and he's like, "There."
His friend became mindless too. Yeah. But he went to the laundry room to find his friend. His friend is now drank the quamic and became a zombie.
And then Myron, who we find out is a magister, was like, "Oh, I think I recognize one of the walking corpses as someone I used to study with."
Strife and his mindless friend were spies to steal Kunari plans. Mm-hmm. Strife takes the plans and then kills his friend out of, Like,
Mercy.
you're just a zombie, so.
Yeah.
Myron and Strife grab weapons and they flee into the forest, but they're still chained together. Strife wants to go back to his clan, and Myron killed all of the brain-dead mages in the tent, and it alerted the Kunari that something was up.
He, exploded it.
Yeah.
Which, because they were Strife was trying to sneak out quietly, and it's this stupid guy just blew up everything.
So they run.
Can't just leave him there.
They come across that deer again.
Who is not a deer.
It's a shapeshifter named... She's also in the game, and I should know how to pronounce her name, but I guess it's Ireland. So.
Irelin.
Strife gives her the plan, saying that the Kunari are moving to Ravane.
Oh, he's not a magister, but he's a mage. Sorry, Strife was calling him a magister, but he's really a mage.
It's because he's from Tevinter. Yeah. They call every mage from Tevinter a magister. So they're moving to Ravane, and they wanted to warn the Ravani clan that the Kunari are heading over there. They stole the plans. So they promise to return at midnight. She promises to return at midnight. To, I don't know, pick them up.
Yeah, because
these notes are crazy. Strife and Myron are being hunted by the Huntmaster Kunari, the Bastir. And the Bastir, the commander, never mind. Mm-hmm. There's the Huntmaster Kunari and the Bastir, who's the commander of the, prisoners.
The keeper of the Bass, which are the...
They're crossing the river. A Kunari catches up with them. They fight. Strife is injured with an arrow in the back.
By the huntsman, because he's a really good shot.
Mm-hmm. Maron's magic causes the forest guardian to show up.
It's a stone golem.
Yes, and they're in Veilguard. Mm-hmm. Veilguard mission. Take a shot every time I say that they're in Veilguard. It gives them time to escape. Maron helps Strife heal. They bond over it. Maron tells him, "I used to be a slave." And Strife is like, "No way! I was a city elf who got kicked out." No, sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. Okay. Maron tells him that he used to be a slave. And Strife is like, "That's crazy. I was a city elf once who got kicked out, adopted by the Dalish." So they both bond over being poor.
Being kicked out from their society.
The Kunari catches up to the pair. They climb a cliff. Strife gets shot again in the arm. He's down, but he's not out. They choke out the Bastar with the chain that's binding them together. It's a team building exercise.
Art,
so Ireland shows up, the shapeshifter. The Huntmaster kills Bastar,
the keeper of the Bass.
Because when they were choking him out, they did not kill him. But the Huntmaster kills him. Yeah. The Huntmaster is a Sarabak of the Ben Hassaroth, sent to investigate reports, which is like a spy organization of the Kunari. Investigate reports of the Antom, which is the Kunari military, that took Ventus, and they did it in a very un-Kun-like manner, which is the Kunari religion. They believe the Kun. So they stole Ventus, and they did it not coolly.
Illegally.
So the secret government spies, the Ben Hassaroth, are like, we gotta take that guy out. So they did.
They're very, ethic coded.
They are.
Because he's like, I'm not shooting anything besides these two
A lot of people become part of the Kun because to them it just kind of makes sense because it's strict, but they follow it.
Code of ethics, yeah.
So I get it. Today he lets the pair go free. Strife invites Maron back to his clan with him and Ireland. And I don't know if he takes up on it.
I think it's just the end of the story. I don't know if he does
I don't know if he does or not. I went to their clan in the game, and I haven't seen him, so maybe not. You have anything to add? That note?
No, that's pretty much it.
That's chaotic.
Why is it called 3 Trees Till Midnight? Oh, they had to cut down trees, but then, she was going to show up at midnight?
Well, she's going to show up at midnight. Maybe between... I don't remember.
Myron says, "I'll be on my way." Strife clapped him on the shoulder. "The one without the injured arm. You're right, Shem. This isn't your place." But then, once upon a time, it wasn't mine either. Myron smiled at the older elf hesitantly. He wasn't sure exactly what morning would hold, but at least he'd be there to see it.
I think this one is pretty good as a starter because it introduces you to the Kunari, which are honestly the most complicated part.
So you have the Dalish, the Kunari, and the
Tevinter mages. You get to see everyone hating on everybody, and you get to see how the Kunari are, like, bad, but also, like,
because the Kunari is pretty much the threat throughout this entire collection of stories.
Kunari are the threat.
Kunari are coming. The Kunari.
They're always the threat. R.I.P. to the Kunari.
Story 2?
Yep. Down Among the Deadmen.
Sylvia Fekatuki?
Fetacuti? I'm very sorry, Sylvia. Down Among the Deadmen. Oh, I liked this one. This was the story that...
Oh, this is where we start getting the different...
You get to learn about the Mortalitazi, which are fun. They're death mages.
The different demons, right? This is
Oh, the
Pride?
demons. It's always the demons.
This one Pride?
I don't remember.
Because they go to the dead city, right?
Yeah,
That's
so
this
this one you get to learn about the Mortalitazi, which this story made me change my character's faction to Mortalitazi because I kind of liked it.
There's some necromancy, too.
Yeah, they're necromancer, death mages. I believe they're from Navarra. And they, like, you know, they handle people's dead. They're like, what are those called? What are they?
Bring out your
morticians, I guess. That's not helpful. So a funeral for a nobleman, Lord Patrick Carn. Remember Carn from...
Do I remember Karn?
From the Felicia Day thing, he was the Templar.
Oh, is that him?
That's not him.
Oh.
I don't think he's a lord. He dies, remember, in that
Yeah, he
TV
does.
show? But when I heard Karn, I was like, oh my god.
Oh, because we couldn't remember what his name was.
Like Kern, Karn, Korn. So it seems like a corpse came to life during this funeral.
Audric is our main character. And
he's just a guard. He's like a guard at this funeral, and this funeral's going on, and then the corpse comes to life and just bites Audric.
Yeah. And then, like, takes off.
And then runs away. And so this is Audric recounting the events of what happened to Mortalitazi necromancers called the Mournwatch. They're called the Mournwatch. Are the Mortalitazi and the Mournwatch different?
I think they're a faction of them.
Wait! They talk about the Mortalitazi, a group of powerful mages. There is a subgroup of them called the Mournwatch who serve as the guardians of the Grand Necropolis. Mm-hmm. So you can be a death mage, a Mortalitazi, but you don't have to be part of the Mournwatch, because the Mournwatch are the ones who just, like, are grave keepers. They hang out in the grave area. Okay, cool. I answered my own question. Continue.
So Patrick was killed. Penrick. His name is Penrick Karn. He was killed when he insulted... Did he insult someone's sister? He got in a bar fight with this dude.
I see.
And they ended up killing each other. And so that's why he's going to the necropolis, because he wants to get revenge on the guy that killed him.
So he dipped directly to the whatever.
The necropolis.
No, metropolis. It's Macropolis.
Yeah, it's the city of the...
He dipped to the necropolis.
Yeah.
To the necropolis. Because right now Audric is recounting the story to the Mournwatch.
Oh, they need a librarian too.
The two
That'll come up later.
Mournwatchers who are interviewing him are Emmerich, who is a companion in Veilguard, and you can romance him, and Myrna. It's Myrna. Emmerich and Myrna. Karn's corpse is heading to the Grand Necropolis, is what basically they figured out.
Yeah, because it's a gentle inquiry into the manner of Penrick Karn's death, and so they go to where he they go ask his wife.
They talk to his sister, and they tell us that he died dueling Duke Janice Van Markham. Both Janice and Karn died in the duel. We also learned that Myrna, that the Mortalitazi believe that when a soul of the dead crosses into the Fade, it displaces a spirit, and that spirit can then go into dead bodies and then influence the dead body to do
necromancy.
It's necromancy. She's like, so we think it's necromancy.
Is Mortalitasi? Is that how you say it?
Mortalitazi.
Okay. I believe that when someone dies, an inhuman spirit is pushed out from the Fade into our world. I'm reading directly from it.
Okay.
Myrna waved a gloved hand at the panorama of the Grand Necropolis. So they're in this, like, crazy... Is this when they're in the weird coach? Because Audric doesn't like dark, ghoulish things, and she's like, well, get ready, because guess where we're going?
They explain that strong spirits may possess him if they have unfinished business, which, you know, is the Catholic ghost. But now they're in a weird car. Audric and Myrna investigate where Karn went, and they have, like, a rib bone. I think it's his. that can help them find him. It's kind of like, you know,
because that's what he got bit, and that's what he took from the corpse was they were like tussling. He's like, well, I have his rib
the
bone.
Templars have their little blood thing that they use to find mages, but if you want to find a walking corpse, you just take a little finger or something and you can find them.
It's like a basic witchcraft thing. If you have any, like a hair, a piece of blood, or whatever, you can find anywhere. Yeah.
So they head to the necropolis. Karn is talking to them in their minds while they're in the elevator to the Grand Necropolis.
Don't follow me. Why are you following me?
He drops the elevator. He Tower of Terrors them, and they're gonna have to go the long way to get back up. They're fine. They have to go a long way to get back up. They get attacked by a weird creature, but Myrna says she's like, creature, we're allowed to be here. Like I'm a Mortalitazi, and the creature's like, all right, and then effed off. Weird thing to add, but passages are constantly changing. They get attacked by a golem.
Yeah, it sounds like the worst city to be in.
Well, it's the city of the dead. Audric is stabbed by the golem, but he feels no pain. It turns out he's a spirit. He's dead when Karn bit him.
And she's like, look down.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I've been stabbed. And she's like, no, you're fine.
It's been there the whole time. Wait, the spirit, is it the golem is the pride? Because is that the demon that they're fighting?
No.
Does that come later?
That comes later.
Okay.
Yeah, so he didn't know he was dead, but he is
down.
dead.
Audric looked down. The broken blade of glaive was lodged straight through his dry, unbloodied, unbreathing chest. Oh. His response to that.
So yeah, he's dead. And Myrna thinks he lingers for the same reason Karn does. But that's why Myrna brought him.
And he's like, how long have I been dead? Guardsmith Audric Philhausen died of his wounds after Lord Karn's funeral. His body arose the next morning and went to his old post. Your captain was at a loss, and you were insistent. She sent you to us to ease your passage. So imagine you're so stressed out about work that after you die, you go back to work.
Oh, that's right. People were freaked out because he died and he went back to work, and everyone's like, someone call the death mages to pick your boy up. So Audric plans to re-kill Karn for killing him. I just have they run into him and they kill him. And then they give him a job. I have there's a lot. So there is they have to duel. So Karn goes to the necropolis to kill the guy that killed him. But this unleashes, I thought is this not pride? It could be.
I thought this unleashes the demon pride, and that's the thing that like overtook his body. And that's what because there's like seven deadly sin stuff in here. Maybe that's a different story. There
are, like, different spirits possess you if you're feeling especially prideful or greedy or whatever.
She takes him to the necropolis because they're like, well, Karn's running around, and because his spirit's not put to rest because he needs to because he's the one that talks about my pride of, like, I lost this duel, like his whole thing was pride, and so that's why he can't rest. And so he has to do his unfinished business, and he's not.
So their unfinished business is each other.
But the guy that killed Karn, which the guy was at the funeral, who ended up killing Audric, the person that killed him isn't there. Like, he's passed on.
Dead.
So he can't pass on. And so him and Audric have to fight.
Okay, because that guy didn't have any regrets.
Yeah. Audric's just like, this is my job. I'm a guardsman. And so he had to stop Karn from running around like a crazy corpse because that's his job. So in order for Audric to pass on, he has to finish the job and get rid of Karn. Mm-hmm. And so they both can pass on.
So they both fight.
And that's it.
And they actually kill him. And then Audric's like, now what? Am I just gonna die here?
Well, he's very knowledgeable about stuff because he's like, yeah, I like to read. I didn't think I was always going to be a guardsman. But
he's also not passing on, like, after that whole event.
It's like, I did it. I'm good at my job. I do what I'm supposed to. And they're like, well, we have an opening.
But they give him a job in the library.
Yeah, he's the librarian now.
So good for him. He's not dead.
But also, I was like, at the end of that, and I might have wrote this in Fable, I'm like, so instead of hiring and paying someone, you just have a spirit.
I mean, if you're a necromancer...
Way to save some money there.
Absolutely.
Oh, no one's applying for this job? Well, let's get some unpaid labor. Can't move on. Sorry.
What are you gonna do? You're a ghost. So we have The Horror of Hormak by John Epler. This one's about Grey Wardens. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
After their
like
character assassination in Inquisition. It's good to see him out doing stuff.
This one was not one of my favorites.
I don't even remember this one very much. So, Grey Wardens, Ramesh and Lesha are on a mission searching for a missing warden expedition, a whole expedition, led by Jovis.
They're in the Navaran forest, which is like a really dark forest that people don't travel in.
They come across another warden named Frindle.
Well, before that, one of them loses their horse, and they have to chase after it, and he's like, something's watching us in this wood, and things smell wrong. It's just
a creepy woods.
Yeah.
They're not having
so now they only have one horse. But somehow because he got, I think it was him, got bucked off, and he was able to throw the saddlebags off the side, though, so they still have supplies, which is good.
That is good. So then I come across another warden named Frindle, and she's crazy.
Yeah.
She clawed out her eyes.
Yep.
And she's like, there's something bad
we went too
there.
Deep.
They thought it was Darkspawn, but it's worse. And they built it for her.
We didn't know, and now we do.
And Lesha knocks her out with sleep magic, because she like tries to run away. They're like, wait, we need you. She knocks her out with sleep magic. They tie her up. Because they're like, she's obviously a danger to herself. She clawed out her own eyes. Mm-hmm. They don't think a creature did it. She did it.
Yeah.
So they fall asleep. They're camping. Resha dreams of Jovis Eyeless, which is the leader of the expedition. He woke up to see Frindle chewed through her bindings and ran away. Ramesh follows her, and he finds her dead. It looks like she chewed on herself to death.
Yeah, but she's got some like gross goo stuff around her. She's got some
weird fluid coming out of her mouth, and it smells like sea spray.
Yeah.
It smells like the sea.
But not like the pleasant, like sea breeze candle, but like...
Like when there's seaweed on the ground and there's a bunch of flies around it, and you walk by. Yeah. Stinky. Mm-hmm. They continue on, and they see a bunch of blood. And it looks like a battle took place.
Oh, they don't have any horses, right?
They don't have any more horses.
So they only have supplies for like a couple days, and they're like, well, we must continue. We're here, might as well. It's like,
we have to do our Grey Warden duty.
There's so many times in the story that I was like, leave. Leave now. Because they are the rescue party, and nobody rescues the rescue party. So leave. They're
so dedicated to their job. These Grey Wardens... They're the good ones. So they find a place that looks like a battle took place, and they see dead, mutated Darkspawn. They're like, these Darkspawn look weird.
But none of their people that they're looking for.
Which is kind of important in Veilguard. Take a shot.
What, that none of the people are there?
The mutated Darkspawn.
Oh, okay. I was like...
Lesha finds an opening to the deep roads. The name Hormak is above the entrance.
Oh, so they, after the battle, there's like this little mound thing. And they go in there, they see like equipment that they recognize. And so they go into the mound, like under the mound. Mm-hmm. And that's where they see that there's like camping gear there. So they're like, oh, obviously they were here.
This is a good spot.
Then there's a couple different tunnels. They're like, well, which one do we take? And so they see the one that says Hormish. Mm-hmm. And there is like dwarf markings on it.
Well, it's the deep roads. That's how they know it's the deep roads.
And
which the Darkspawn come from, by the way.
One of the markings, though, which again I was like, leave now, is that there is markings of like the date that you leave and when you're expected to return, but there is no return date.
It also smells like the gross sea, the Dead Sea stuff in there. So they're like, obviously they went through the Dead Sea Hormak one because it's stinky in there.
Smells familiar.
So they go into a boss room, and there's a campsite up there, recently abandoned. Darkspawn, but mutated, come and attack them. They kill them, and they notice a message from Jovis's group telling them not to go further.
Yeah.
They're like, don't do that. But they
We're
do
going
anyway.
Further, but you can't go further. Isn't she injured?
Don't do it.
Doesn't she get injured in this fight?
Maybe later. I don't think right now.
So it's the next boss battle?
Maybe. I don't have it in my notes, so... It might be later.
Oh, I have like all of these. I numbered them. I was like, leave. The mining sign, yeah. So, they find dead spawn, no wardens, leave. They find the hole in the ground, the dwarven sign with no return date, leave. I was like, why is it? Oh, that comes later. Sorry, I'll answer that later.
Get out now.
The next room where they find all the panels.
So they see it, they go down where they tell them not to go, and they see elven cave paintings full of gemstones. And the more they look at the murals, the more messed up they look. They're like, these are so pretty, and then you stare at them for long enough, and they're like, they're gross. They're like melting and messed up.
When I was reading the story, I was also playing. There's a game that's called Call of the Sea, where you see these panels and they also tell a story about like fish people. So that's what I was picturing when I was reading this. I was like, are they?
Oh, I put OMG, they said fuck. Because like they're swearing.
Yeah.
This is the only time I think I ever like swore in any of these books. So they must have sworn. They must have looked at the cave paintings and they were like, fuck.
Yeah, because they're all like worshiping this lady.
Mm-hmm.
And like the paintings get worse. But there's a lot of them as they keep going. I think she's injured at this point.
I don't have her being injured, but I will believe you.
Because that is important for the final boss battle.
Okay, I'll believe you. They go into the final chamber. There's a pool? ? They find a snake centipede thing with Jovis's as the head.
Oh, there was like there was a giant spider at some point. So I was like, why is there always a giant spider?
Well, they're in a cave.
Yeah, because that was also part of the dead. Was it this one where the dead spawn had like
the dark spawn?
Yeah, the dark spawn had like a scorpion tail and like
not this one. That's
okay,
another one.
That's a different one.
Spoilers for later.
I was like, why are they having different parts? Because I thought that was part of the mutation, is that they were put like weird.
There's something weird going on with these characters. Darkspawn because now it's like a snake centipede with a human head.
Yeah, this is a human centipede.
This is Jovis. We're trying to find him.
Well, it's like different body parts
Jovis
are connected.
Is talking to them, which is it's the worst. It's the worst when you get the abomination with your friend's head and your friend's like, kill me. Like
yeah. So this is why they didn't find any of the warden people, because their body parts were put on the centipede.
Yeah.
It's just it's so like if you've seen the movie Leviathan, you know.
Jovis said they drank from the pool.
Yeah.
I like how I put pool ? For both the pool things. I don't know what this thing is, but I'm calling it a pool.
I put there was a giant spider. I was like, why is there always a giant spider? And like, oh, it's a centipede of body parts. That's what I put.
And
Jovis is part of it. They drank
from that pool in there because they're so thirsty. And then they turned into that, and they have to destroy him and that place so that she can't have it. Who is she? We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah. So Jovis, he wants Ramesh. Is it Ramesh? Yeah. Mm-hmm. To blow up this place. He says, "Stop me, stop us." Leisha is hurt, and they explode some crystals.
They fight, explode the chamber. Lesha sacrifices herself to give Ramesh time to leave, so he can warn the other wardens. The creature did come after them after they blew up it in the first place, and she dies.
Cave in.
And then he has to blow up like a second cave in. It felt unnecessary. Her sacrificing herself to escape. It should have been fine. Should have been a little bit shorter than that. Well, we don't need the twice.
So where the dwarvish markings were, there was also a bunch of dynamite, and so he had to blow it up again.
Perfect.
And then at the whole end of it, he's like,
he has to warn the wardens that this place was only one of 12 depicted in the murals.
Yeah.
And I've met the Grey Wardens in Veilguard, and they're not caring about this.
This was really odd. I didn't like this one, and it felt out of place.
It felt weird. I don't know if they'll bring this up in the game, because I haven't gotten that far
yet.
Side
quest? DLC, maybe?
Be cool. I like the amalgamation.
Accidentally don't go into caves.
So that it'd be cool to see the mural personally.
Someone was like, "Oh, what's the smell?"
Personally in the game, to see that mural, because the way they described it, it was so bad that I had to say fuck.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see what that was.
Yuck.
That one was weird. The next one is Callback, which I like a lot because this one's very Inquisition heavy.
Oh, I think yeah, Sutherland. This is by Lucas Christiansen.
Mm-hmm.
Or Chris Jansen?
Chris Jansen.
Could be Jansen.
So this is about the Sutherland Company, which if you played Inquisition, you know they're like a ragtag group. You actually can meet all of them, Rat and the Mage and all that stuff in the game. And
Every day
they're
was
fun
the
little
best day.
side quests.
Yeah, this was
I like the Sutherland Company. They're fun.
I could see this being a mission for sure, or quest.
They were fun to hang out with. So Donald Sutherland, Shade, and Voth, old members
Donald?
of the Donald? Donal?
Oh. I was like, isn't Donald Sutherland like a real person?
Not spelled like this.
I was like, he's in the story?
Yeah, Donald Sutherland. I don't know, is he an actor?
Yes. Or, I think he passed away.
R.I.P. But this is Donald with no D. But yet one D. No 2D, 1D. Donald Sutherland, Shade, and Voth.
Donald Sutherland passed away June 20th. Everyone, you should know who he is. He was in the Hunger Games.
I don't know. That's just a guy with a mustache.
He's been in so many stuff. So much.
But he's not Donald Sutherland, who's the most important person right now. How dare you threat protect me at this moment?
He was the dad in Keira Knightley's Pride and Prejudice.
I didn't watch that.
What?
Can we go back to Donald Sutherland?
Donald. Okay.
Donald.
I wonder if they named him after Donald. Anyways, he's back in Skyhold.
Yes, his team, Shade and Voth, old members of the Inquisition. As the Inquisition is disbanded. This is a story where they tell you that.
But they got sent back because they're like, something weird's going on in
They're
this
sent to
town.
a mostly abandoned Skyhold, which is the base of the Inquisition if you didn't play the game, to investigate where the supply caravan has gone because it hasn't come back. They thought it was weird that the caretakers haven't noticed them yet because they're walking around Skyhold. It's pretty empty.
Yeah.
They're like, where is everybody? There was caretakers here.
I thought there was only one caretaker.
There's one caretaker and he's missing. They're missing a member of the Sutherland Company. It's a dwarf named Rat who was sent to get reinforcements for this job.
Yeah, they left him behind. I like Rat. Rat's good.
Rat's a girl.
Yeah.
They think it might be a demon. That's because they get a note from the caretaker.
They were right.
It's always a demon.
Mm-hmm.
It's always after this story on. It's like always.
The
demon.
note
it's demon
was
o'clock.
like I've
made mistakes.
made mistakes. Yeah.
This is a real juicy story, especially about Solus.
Is this about Solus?
Has a lot of implications. Can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me because I did not get any
So yeah,
Solus in it.
a note from the caretaker said I made mistakes. They find the caretaker dead, nailed to the stables, and
Not
it
just
looks
nailed to the
like
stable. He nailed himself
nailed
to
himself
the stables
because he thought he was going to get possessed by a demon.
Well,
is what they think.
Yeah, and then we find out what happened.
We'll tell you what actually happened, but right now they think
because he has the hammer is like right near where his hand was, so
Yeah.
they definitely was like he nailed himself.
But he's dead, and he's got scratches on his tummy.
Yeah,
they
his
think
guts
he
are
might
out.
be,
which is a
that's
slow
why,
death.
That's why they were like, it has to be demons with that kind of attack. So that's why he nailed himself, so that demons can't use him to do stuff. Which I don't feel like demons would care, and I think they would just like pull you off.
Maybe it had to do with the type of.
Oh man, he's pinned to the wall. Ugh.
Maybe
and then
it was
the
like
demons
the steel,
move on.
like couldn't. Some things can't. Certain metals, they're not allowed to.
Maybe
do stuff.
The caretaker wanted to restore Solus's. Is it fresco? Is that what it's called? Okay.
It's painted on the wall.
He has a fresco in Inquisition that he paints like what all the decisions, the big decisions you make in that game, he'll paint around.
But one of them's
incomplete
unfinished.
because I guess I already said it was a spoil Inquisition. He leaves at the end of the game. He dips and he didn't finish the painting that he made, so he left in a hurry. Let's just say.
Is this where they look up?
So they're gonna go check out the rotunda
frescoes.
with the fresco. They notice that there is no other bodies, which is weird. The demon has to feel, because they think it's a demon right now.
They can feel it. Or he has to feel us. Is what
He has to feel a specific emotion to show up because they want to possess you if you have pride or greed.
Lust is the 7 deadly. We did 7 deadly?
No.
No?
It's not always the 7 deadly sins, even though it is. I don't think lust is one, actually. I don't know. So they go to the rotunda and they see Solus's paintings of the events of the Inquisition.
So Solus painted them? Is that what?
Them,
okay.
Yeah.
So
Solus painted these.
Okay.
The cage above, because if you go to Solus's fresco in Skyhold, above is where like the spy master was, who had all the crows. So there's a bunch of cages up there, and the cages are full of dead body parts, and they're dripping blood down. Yep. Gross. And the desk has another caretaker's body on it. Did it? That's what it says. And why would I lie?
I didn't even get that.
The pigment. You gonna look it up?
I thought the whole thing was that the caretaker pins himself to the
But there could be more than one caretaker.
Because he was doing the body parts. And so he's like, I won't be used.
So the desk, it says the desk has a caretaker's body on it in my notes. There's probably multiple caretakers. Skyhold is huge.
Well, I thought it was weird that there was only
ginormous. So the pigment is draining from the pictures. And it's very strange. And the pigment, like, it blocks the door. Like, it causes an avalanche. Not an avalanche, that's stupid. Just a blockage. Just a door blockage. And the last picture that Solus drew before he dipped, that he did not finish, was a wolf looking at a dead dragon with a sword in it. And then that wolf dragon creature. So yeah.
So except for the desk and the body of the caretaker, it was bare circle. There were 3 entrances, only one that they used. The one that led outside and one with the stairs that encircled upwards within the walls. All were blocked.
Yeah, so the pigment's falling off, they get blocked. The last picture that Solus drew is a wolf with a dead dragon with a sword in it. The wolf dragon creature hybrid came out of the wall. It's the demon.
I am regret.
So Donald, identify yourself. It's Solus's regret, and it feeds on the regret of others. And I was like, that's so juicy. There. Solus should regret what he did, okay? He should regret leaving. He should regret leaving you, the Inquisitor. And so I went back and I replayed Inquisition when I started Veilguard because I was like, ooh, should romance Solus because that'll make Veilguard way more juicy. So reading
does it
this,
keep your decisions?
It does. Some of them. So I was like, ooh, he feels regret for leaving your romanced character. This is how I thought of it in my mind. That's juicy. That's really good. I like that. Okay.
So much regret behind these deeds.
It says, I wonder if you know the dread that is coming. And Sutherland stabs it. It doesn't do anything. His 2 friends are now lost in their own regret.
Yeah, they're frozen.
And they're frozen.
And they're in their own mind prison of things that they regret.
They figure they're going to meet a demon, so they brought, like, 1 for each type. So Shade is pride. So I guess this is, like, Shade has a lot of pride, so if there was a pride demon, Shade wouldn't do very well. Voth has a lot of envy, so if there was an envy demon, he wouldn't do very well, but everyone else would be fine. Donald is like, I'm the one for regret demons, because I have no regrets. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they're like, they don't have
he's
pride.
Not prideful.
They don't have envy.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Opposite. So Donald's like, but I have no regrets. Rat shows up with the reinforcements finally and throws a bee bomb. Shade woke up.
Dude, Rat for the win.
Yeah, Rat's awesome. Rat woke up.
I run. That's
There's a part in Inquisition where Sutherland's company gets lost and Rat comes and gets you, the Inquisitor, and it's like, please help my friends. You need to go help them. It's cool. It's cool to see Rat again after reading this story.
Rat's whole thing is that she runs. She just puts her head down and she just runs.
Yeah. So Shade woke up. Sutherland and Shade now make out. and they drop a bookshelf on the demon. They're still fighting the demon. They're making out. Rat's
They were
throwing
kissing?
bee-bomb. They are kissing.
Oh.
They kiss. They kissed. I have it in my notes.
I did not take that detailed notes about this.
They're kissing while this fight's happening. They're dropping bookshelves on it. Voth finally woke up yelling to get outside, which I thought Voth in the games was silent. He's a silent mage. So this was really confusing when I met him in Inquisition, because they were like, yeah, he doesn't talk, but he's definitely yelling at them.
Did we talk about the fact that the
To get outside.
regret it absorbed the fresco? Like, so
The
Sutherland,
pigment's coming off.
Yeah,
and
Sutherland
it turned
injures
into the demon.
it with the sword, but
Yeah.
it absorbs the fresco to like help heal itself.
Yeah, it's just so much regret in there.
There's a whole bunch of other people that show up.
The door is no longer blocked by debris. Rat is throwing chairs at the demon. The demon is chasing after Rat, who is running. It almost caught up to her, but some buff guy caught her, and it's the blacksmith to the Inquisition. Is Herold. You guys remember? This is all like, remember the guys from the Inquisition? So the blacksmith's
team's
there.
back together.
Sutherland ran into Morris, the quartermaster to the Inquisition, and Rat and Harris are hanging out. And
Well, Rat was supposed to bring all of the wait for all these other people to show up, and they're like the backup team.
yeah, but the demon's chasing Rat
Mm-hmm.
and Harris, I guess now. And so Sutherland, Voth, Shade, and I guess Morris now, the quartermaster, they're in the tavern, and Rat and Harriet meet up with them finally. And Cabot, the bartender, who was already in the tavern, he Molotov cocktailed the demon, because obviously when Rat showed up, the demon was following her. So he Molotov cocktailed the demon because he's the bartender.
Dagna. Who's that lady?
Elaine, the Inquisition's apothecary, powdered the demon in the face so it couldn't see.
They're like
And-
running all over the city at this point.
They're all over Skyhold. They're running around. They meet up for a quick powwow while the demon is like blinded and on fire.
Yeah, but then the demon also affects all these people because they all have
They
regrets.
all have regrets, except for Sutherland, I guess.
So they gotta regroup to come up with a better.
So Rat ran, trying to get it to follow into their mages, who are going to shock the ground to like stop it, and then Harriet's gonna throw housewares at it.
Yeah, so they're trying to.
Just anything.
Well, they're trying to get the demon to go to a certain area.
Yeah.
So they're like each taking turns. It's definitely like something that's like right out of a movie where each person like
does their little thing
Yeah.
to stop the demon.
to bring it to Sutherland is where they're trying to
Yeah.
get it because he's the only one that doesn't regret.
So they shock the floor, they throw stuff at it, and Sutherland stands in front of the demon and saying
says,
he regrets
"I
acting
regret."
alone and using his friends. So his plan is to tell the demon, I actually do regret. You can possess me. That's
Mhm.
fine. So he let regrets come closer, because regret's like, ooh, yummy. Can't wait to eat that regret.
Mhm.
And he's sticking his sword out and he slams it into the demon. But the demon also like overtook him a little bit, because obviously the demon's super close with he's just gonna stab him.
No.
So then Shade stabs the demon, Rat smashes it, and everyone beats it up,
Mhm.
saving because Sutherland's
I hate
standing there.
regret.
Because the regret got close enough that he was like, oh, I do have regrets actually. And then he goes into like that frozen mind state,
Yeah.
and everyone just like piles onto the demon and just destroys it. The demon twisted into the spirit of introspection. I put there might have been a better choice, but I don't know what that means.
Then introspection.
Yeah, maybe. I'm assuming the spirit of introspection just goes back into the Fade. I don't have any more notes to that, so I don't know what happens at the end.
Well, so he rallies all the people, and then there's the demon as it's the boss says, "Go quietly, spirit," and then the demon like looks at Sutherland and says, "I knew I'd known you once before." So Sutherland does have regrets, and then Sutherland says, "That's not my mistake you taste, it's yours."
Regret's kind of a hard one, because I feel like everybody has a regret, so...
And then Rat lifts the hammer and brings it down on the demon, and a lazy breeze blew in the garden. And then there's this whole little thing afterwards, which I don't. It's all Skyhold remains. Its fire's bright. Forevermore, it's where you're from, not where you are bound. Attempt no travel there. Let the past guide you to a new direction, and be well.
So Skyhold is just dead now, I guess.
That's not a place you want to go.
I don't know why.
Your little
the
body
Inquisition's disbanded anyway. Like, it's fine.
It's got cages of body parts.
Let it die.
from the
demon. Next is Luck in the Garden by Sylvia Fekakuti.
Fekakuti.
I wrote what the guy said.
Okay. Fekakuti?
Fekakuti.
Sorry, Sylvia.
And this is told like an interview. I want to go into this saying that this story is told like they're being interviewed.
I didn't like this one. Sorry, Sylvia. This is the second Sylvia one I didn't like.
This one has Dorian in it. He's a companion in Inquisition, and also he's in Veilguard. He's not a companion though.
Oh, I liked Down Among the Dead.
Dorian
so I not like Luck in the Gardens.
Cool. He's your best friend in Inquisition, or your lover, depending. So, a member of the Lord of Fortune, their treasure and bounty hunters, is in the Tevinter city of Minrathous. He found some sprayed blood, got to the tall building that was his target.
So this is Holics, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Some rich vents, Tevinter people, that's what we call them when we hate them, are playing Wicked Grace. This guy is spying on them. One of them talks about a job offer with a bunch of money to slay a mysterious monster, which the Lord of Fortune put up flyers about this monster to get people to talk about it. So he's just hanging up on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
He's
watching this mage's card game.
So he put up a flyer about a mysterious monster and a reward just to get all of the people in town talking so he could get more information. Kind of an ingenious plan a little bit, but one of them thinks that the monster has something to do with the Venatori, which are a cult in Tevinter that want to, I don't know, turn Tevinter back to its glory of being racist and terrible to everyone else. The Lord of Fortune fell from the ceiling, and one of the mages covered for them.
Dorian.
Because this is a them. Because this person can switch genders.
Yeah, they switch depending on
they're
what
they
costume
them. So yeah, one of the mages covered for them, pretending it was one of his servants.
Mm-hmm.
The mage later meets up with this Lord of Fortune, and it's Dorian from the Inquisition, and he invites the Lord of Fortune, aka Holics, which is the fake name he gives him, to dinner. His estate. Dorian no longer keeps slaves or any servants. And they eat dinner. What did you want to say about it?
Oh, as they're drinking wine, a guest shows up.
Lady Mayferris Talani.
Magisterium Mayferris Talani, also known as May.
Also known as May. She's also in Veilguard.
There's a monster who has killed 9 people.
Dorian puts up the award. The monster is killing people.
I said there's a $5,000 reward or 1,000. So I don't know, because I think he offers Holics 1,000, but the reward is actually 5,000. I was confused.
The name of the monster is Checkerax, I think.
Yeah.
All the victims were found with their heads
known as the
removed.
headsman, because there's no head.
The headman.
That's what it translates to.
Dorian gives him a map.
They were all killed by water.
Holics dipped. He goes to a spot where one of the bodies was found, because the map has where all the bodies were found. He runs into a child named Mizzy. She tells
her friends
them
were killed.
Chickerax lives in the sewers. Mm-hmm. So together they search the sewers.
Well, so Mizzy sends Holics to the gutter that the creature slithered back from. So Mizzy is not in the sewers.
Okay, good. I don't know why they said that. I guess I'm thinking they as in they, them.
Yeah.
Them search sewer.
So Holics is in the sewer, in the gutter, and a tentacle pops up.
Yeah, they encountered the monster. Holics slashed at it. It's got human eyes.
But
tentacles.
What are we calling this thing? Kekerax?
Kekerax?
Checkerax?
It's Cekorax.
The voice was many voices. speaking together, all tiny and softly rotten.
And then it's like, stay with us. Ready to say it together? 1, 2, 3. Stay with us. Yeah. See, we could do your audiobook. Holix ran. His weapon was destroyed. He throws smoke pellets. He's like, I gotta get out of here. I'm not gonna fight this thing. I'm losing. Holix stumbles into a Templar barracks.
Yeah.
And then he has to run away from the Templars. Not only was he running away from this monster, but now he's like, now I gotta run away from all these Templars. He manages to escape, and then he returns to the inn. Holix doesn't want anything to do with the monster anymore. So he's like, I'm gonna go tell Dorian that, that's it. I'm done. That thing was too gross and weird.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Creepy.
At Dorian's house, outside, he sees a bunch of dead birds. And then he sees...
Yeah, so they're in the garden.
Checkerax
at the house, yeah.
in the garden.
Well, the birds are missing their heads.
Yeah.
So that was weird in the nest. And then things start to move around, and I was like, are they crazy? Are they delusional? Is there some sort of drugs in this?
No, it's happening? Not. Checkerax is just in the garden, and it's
the
hiding in the bushes,
and it's all over the place.
It's trying to kill the servants, but Holix is saving people from being eaten by it. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna write Dorian a letter instead. I don't want to deal with this. After escaping Checkerax, which he had to, and then also the Templars, he had to do the same thing twice.
Yeah, keep running away from these Templars.
So he's like, he's at the pier, and Mizzy shows up, and he's basically like, I'm giving up on this.
Yeah, you should leave.
This is rough. Mizzy threw an acid flax at the Templars, so that's why they're hanging out at the pier together. She saved him from the Templars, so Holix can escape. Holix feels bad that he lied to Mizzy about capturing the monster, because he was like, I'll avenge your friends. But now he's like, I'm gonna run away like a coward because that thing is scary. So he's like, okay, well, I feel bad enough that I'm actually gonna try to kill this monster instead. So Holix comes up with a plan with Mizzy's help and Dorian's help.
Yeah, so they're gonna use
and
Mitzi.
May's help. May's also there.
And they are also gonna use lyrium, which is a potion.
It's like a crystal that amplifies magic. Or also a potion, I guess I understand. They set up a trap, told Dorian the plan. May's also involved. They're gassing the gardens so no one else would be around. They're like, everyone get out of the gardens. It's really stinky in here now. No one wants
Dead
to be in
birds
here.
And everything.
Holix pretends to give up, and he's like in the fountains or by the fountains. He's like, okay, Checkerax, I give up. I will be a part of you now. This is like the same plan as the Sutherland plan that we just talked about.
Stay with us.
And then
also the one before that with the centipede.
It's the same
Stay
plan.
with us.
Hive minds, they're always the enemies. So he's like, okay, cool, now that Checkerax is out, Dorian, May, Mizzy, fire magic from the balcony. Holix harpoons it.
Yeah. Because they need the harpoon because it's metal.
It was a dragon ? With people-faced masks ?
Oh, I didn't even write what it looked like.
Dorian thinks that the Checkerax is something beyond the veil. It's not a spirit or a demon.
It's something from the vaults of the Borderlands.
But then, because this was told in an interview format, so Holix is getting interviewed, or I guess interrogated, but the person was like, I don't need to know that whole story. I just want to know where you got that map case, because the map was in a case that was bejeweled, because Dorian is he's a little extra. Yeah. He's a little extra guy. So he gave him a really bejeweled case for it. So the guy's like, where'd you get that really expensive map case though? He's like, oh. And then that's the end of the story.
Well, so he did get the money, but he splits it with Mizzy.
Yep.
And dips. Or they dip. Because Mizzy asks, oh, are you a girl or a boy? And they're like,
I can be both. Is there just how they roll. So now it's hunger.
Which was another weird story that I was like, what is... Okay. This is Brienne Batty?
Batty.
Yeah.
Petier.
One here, one there.
These are the Grey Wardens, Anton and Iveka. You also meet them in Veilguard.
The story starts, though, with a girl running through the woods. The trader who failed to turn up that summer, the Cooper gone missing by the river, they thought accident, despite knowing better. They thought bad luck, which was closer. 1 month went by, enough to let them justify to feel safe. The trader's father passing through the autumn in search for his missing son, the hunter who went out and never returned, another hunter clawed apart, left strewn across the path for which them to find. So these two wardens are going to one city, and then they see this lady running out of the forest, and she's like,
her name is Mina.
"Come with me."
Mina tells them something is attacking the people in the woods in Eichwell. She claims the place is cursed. Oh, this is that one.
Yeah, this is
so, that one.
Spoilers, not spoilers. This is the werewolf.
This is about werewolves, which is funny because like werewolves showed up in Origins, so you should know about that. But they like never show up again, really. Maybe I don't remember 2 very well, but they don't show up in anything else. Maybe they show up in Veilguard later. I don't know. But it was weird because I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. They're werewolves in Dragon Age.
Also, this story was irritating because it's because it's werewolves. It reminded me of the Witcher thing where
the only memorable quest we played besides
also the fact that everyone hates the Witcher, but he's there to hunt these things that are attacking them, and they still don't like them. The wardens are there to help them, and these townspeople don't like them. They're like, you failed. You're stupid.
People are mean to the wardens. They don't need to be.
But these people didn't have to stop at this town.
No, they did it because they care. They want to help them.
So they didn't fully know it was attacking people.
It's kind of what happened with the last wardens. They're like, we have a job to do. We have to find our other wardens. Like, they're good guys. Some of them. The ones in the books are.
So they set up they're like patrolling the town, and then someone gets attacked, and they're like, oh, it's your fault, you're so stupid. And then they set up another thing where they track the creature that's attacking them, and they find it.
You're abbreviating so much.
I only wrote like 4 lines for the story.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, your notes aren't even out. You're just like, there's werewolves and it's over.
I literally just read it and I was like, that's 4 lines. 5 lines maybe? I was like, werewolves.
So they come across a crazy woman in the woods. She's like, come to my town, Eichwell. There's my brother's been killed. It's terrible. So they go to Eichwell.
Her brother was missing in the woods, but
she thinks he's still alive, but everyone's like, he's probably dead. They find out Mina's brother William was the latest victim. They investigate the attack sites. They don't think it's Darkspawn. And they're like, well, we're Grey Wardens. We only fight Darkspawn. But we're also good guys, so we're still going to help you out. The next day, because they stay over at the town, they see a boarded up house. And they're like, what's up with that? Apparently some rich noble boy owned it. It poisoned a Chantry brother. And then...
yeah, he sucked.
Because the Chantry brother was caught thieving... So he poisoned the Chantry brother, and the noble boy ran off.
Well, they
ran him out of town.
They're like, he's like, we could put him to death, or we can just have him run out into the woods, and he'll probably die there because he's a rich money boy.
So they investigate the forest, and they find a ram carcass has been torn up, but it's not been eaten. So they're like, this is a trap. This is 100% a trap. Why wouldn't anyone eat this? A voice comes from the trees. It says, a call. Not for you. Not yet. For my own. Ooh, spooky. They couldn't find the source of the voice, so they head back to the village, and they get volunteers. Reluctant volunteers. The town does not want to help, but they're like, listen, you have to. The whole town's going to get destroyed.
We don't even care about you. We just stopping to help.
So that night, people get attacked, and it's the people that were volunteering to help. Yeah. So the blacksmith, basically dead. They see something dark.
Like grabbed? Taken
he's
off?
like torn up and stuff. They do grab one person, the other volunteer. They see something dart into the forest and they follow it. It says, it's a big boy. It's a big thing. They're like, well, that thing is huge. And then it vanishes. Suddenly, they're surrounded by 4 werewolves. Werewolves are a curse a demon possesses on a wolf or a human, and the bite spreads the curse. But if they kill the main
The originator, yeah.
werewolf, then all the werewolves will go back to
This
normal.
is a little... What was that? Until Dawn,
That was an Until Dawn thing?
Where you, eat the people. Yeah, it's the...
Oh, the one we just did with the werewolves?
that
was the Quarry.
The Quarry.
Spoilers. The Quarry's about werewolves, and you have to kill the main werewolf.
Yeah.
In order to stop them, which we did not do because we're bad at that game. They were humans.
Also, those people suck, and they did a bad thing to the first one, so...
But they killed, 3... They killed 3 of the werewolves. And one of them was not fully transformed yet. It was just there.
You could talk to them.
And it turns out it was William.
Yeah.
Or Willem. It's Willem. They take Willem back to the village and they chain him up in the barn. And Mina's like, "Oh my god, you found my brother!"
And
he's
half
werewolf.
Why'd you bring him back?
They're like, "Oh, that's a werewolf. Why is he in here? He's gonna go insane and kill everybody."
But then we find out from Wilhelm that that's Renke is the main werewolf. Because they set a trap with Willem there.
There's a big chantry in the woods.
Yeah.
That has the OG demon that started the werewolf curse.
Which would be gluttony, right? Or...
I say just hunger.
Yeah, hunger.
They head to the broken down chantry, find the OG wolf. It was a hunger demon that possessed that noble boy that got run out of the village.
Yep.
Renke. So then he runs away. So our wardens
they got chased after him.
Back to the village to come up with a plan. They're like, "Okay, we know who the OG werewolf is. We know it's that boy you ran out of town. We needed a plan.
Let's go and let's bring him to his house."
They decided to trap him in his old house.
They put a lamp in there, you boarded it up. We're taking this over, sucker.
They're like, "Ooh, we're in your house, Ricky. Come over here. We're gonna ruin your house." They fight. Anton gets bit. What's the dwarf girl?
Evka?
Evka kills the werewolf, and since they killed the OG werewolf, it should have eliminated the curse, but they're still I don't know.
They have to wait till the next day.
They go back to see William, and William is transformed back to normal, so they're like, "Phew, okay, I think it's good."
They're like, "Get out of our town."
Yeah. And
so we just killed the thing that's killing the people in the woods. We saved one of your, civilians.
the blacksmith died, but...
He was gonna die anyways. This Renke guy was taking people out one by one.
That's true.
They were just get out of here.
So they're like, "Okay, fine. Then we're gonna go to our original plan," because they were on their way to Weishaupt Fortress, which is it's the main place the wardens go to get their orders. Their little place. But the hunger demon lives on. Oh no. It's still
a demon, yeah.
It never left.
It's
Everyone's
there for the next
so
sucker that's
hungry there.
In the woods. And that was it. Werewolves.
That's it. It was werewolves. Next is Murder by Death Mages, which I thought was a funny title.
And this is by Caitlin Sullivan Kelly. Damn statues. I remember this one.
Oh, I hate this one.
Yeah, this was not.
So Sidoni, is it Sidoni? Is that her name? Yeah, Sidoni. Sidoni is an Inquisition agent. This is during the events of the Inquisition game. Cassandra Pentagast, who you know from Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition, and the movie where eventually I'm going to make you watch, is worried that the Mortalitazi plans on assassinating King Marcus Pentagast of Navarra.
Oh, so Sydney...
Sydney's from Navarra. Yeah,
so Sydney was she's a mage and she was kind of like a street rat, and then she gets brought into this group, right? Henry is her. The person.
She knows a Mortalitazi in Navarra named Henry.
They raised
Henrik.
Henrik, sorry.
Knows Henrik.
And Cassandra raised her.
Well, not Cassandra.
Oh.
Henrik raised her. Cassandra is actually, she's related to the king. She's like a princess.
Oh, okay.
But she's also a seeker and a warrior, and she's the coolest character in Dragon Age. Cassandra sends Sidoni to deal with... She doesn't want the king to get killed and the Mortalitazi take over.
Well, because Henrik sent, notice, right, to Sidney to say, there is a assassination.
Yeah, Sidoni got the info from Henrik, and then when she's she really doesn't want to do this.
No.
But
she doesn't want to be in this world. She didn't want to live this life.
But she's sent
But
there
They
anyway.
raised her, so.
And Cassandra's convinces her to do it. She goes back to Navarra and she finds Henrik murdered.
He's dead.
One night. So she goes to talk to Henrik's friend, the only friend she knew, Antonia.
Mm-hmm.
Another Mortalitazi. Because when she got picked up for being a street rat and raised by them, she was Antonia and Henrik were there. So she's like, the only other friend that he has is this girl named Antonia. So she meets up with Antonia at a bar. And Antonia's like, I remember you. You suck. Instead of answering her question, Antonia's like, come to my party on Saturday.
Yeah, so there's a guy that she wants to introduce him to. He's a big gossip. But
Big
she's
gossip.
like, you have to help me before I'll help you, or is that the gossip? No, that's the gossip guy.
Sidoni's like, I don't want to go to your stupid party. And
Yeah.
they fight a little bit, but then Sidoni's like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Because there's a secret dealer at the party. A secrets dealer. Not a secret dealer.
He's
but
the
a
gossip
secret
guy. Gossip guy.
Dealer. Gossip guy.
But so she gives her like this ring. And
Yeah.
she's like, this is how he'll know who you are.
Yeah, so that ring is important.
And
Put that on
everyone-
the board.
Pin that on the board.
Pin that on the board.
Because like people are trying to talk to her at this party and she's not about it.
Antonia meets up at the fancy party and she's like, ew, I hate fancy parties. I hate being here. Nobody talk to me. She gives her the ring at the fancy party.
And then like doesn't talk to her.
No,
Like-
she dipped because she was like, I'm gonna go get the secret guy.
Yeah.
And he'll come meet you. And then instead of the secret guy, some other guy comes up and talks to her. It's Reinhardt, Lord Reinhardt, who is the thrower of the party.
Yeah.
This is his house. This is his party. And he's like, death mages are puppeting the king. I have a big conspiracy theory. Hey girl, let me tell you about my conspiracy theory. And she's like,
ugh,
ew.
bros, am I right?
Get away from me. Who are you? And he's like, I'm the host of the party. Actually, he doesn't say that. Cyros, an elf, says that. And that is her contact because he shows up to save her from Reinhardt, who
He's
wants
the
to
gossip
tell the
girl.
experience too. And he's like, ew, Reinhardt. She doesn't want to hear about your conspiracy theories. Get out of here. And he's like, I love you, Cyros. Everyone at the party does. Okay. So, Cyros, secret dealer, tells her that 4 nobles who speak out against the Mortalitazi have been murdered.
Murdered.
And their deaths were made to look like an accident.
Accident.
They hear a scream,
Ah.
and it was a maid. Sidoni ran up to her, and the maid collapsed, and like she opened a door, right? And they look into the door, and there's a man face down on the ground, and Reinhardt's like, okay, party over, everyone get out of my house. There's a dead man in my house. The next day, Sidoni and Cyros...
They said that, wasn't he like hooking up with the maid and like had a heart attack while they were chicka bow wow? And she's like, no, that's like, he'd like a stroke or like...
Yeah, something happened.
He was definitely like killed.
He was killed, but they're trying to play it off like it was an accident. Ooh. So Sidoni and Cyros are like hanging out now.
Yeah, but Cyros is like, okay, I have information on your... Because her whole thing is, I want to find out who killed
my
Henrik. And so Cyros is like, I have information for you, but you have to help me first.
So they have to do the bidding of the mistress of one of the victims, who like their servant stole the notebook that had all like the juicy details of the
Cyros
affair.
is like...
And the mistress is his client, I guess. So they stalk the servant who stole the notebook, talking about the affair. And the
They're,
servant
like,
is
tailing
blackmailing the mistress right now.
They're tailing her on the street. They go in 2 different directions.
So Sidoni chased the servant. They brought the man into a back alley. And
she's like shooting stuff at this one. And
she's like
Cyros
just
is
running after
what are you
him.
doing?
Because Cyros is like, that's the guy we're going after. And Sidoni's like, you got it. And just like chases after him.
Magic.
And so they pull him into a back alley and the guy is screaming. Like, and Cyros just like stabs him.
Yeah.
Because Sidoni's like, I wish you would stop screaming. Jeez. And he's like, okay. And then he just stabs him. And she's like, why did you do that? What the fuck, dude? Cyros takes the notebook. And then he's like, well, I'm going to go bring this notebook back to the mistress. We did our job. And Sidoni's still reeling from the murder.
Yeah, she's like, who is this
What
man?
is
I thought it was
happening?
just a gossip girl.
So they show up at the mistress's house. The mistress is dead.
Dead. Like everyone else in the weird, like, frozen.
Oh no. Sidoni is knocked unconscious while trying to wake the dead mistress to she's like,
she was gonna, like,
I'm a
blood mage him.
mortalitazi.
Yeah.
So I can talk to the dead. So I'm gonna see what this mistress knows. So she's like trying to do her little ritual to get the
While
dead
she's
to rise.
in the zone, other stuff's happening around her.
Yeah, and then she gets knocked out. So she does notice she has a quill in the back of her glove before she gets knocked out.
Because doesn't the guy, it's like her husband shows up or whatever, Reinhardt or whatever it is.
Yeah, so she wakes up. She's groggily waking up, Sidoni. And she hears Reinhardt and Styros arguing about how he hired Styros to kill his rivals and take the Mortalitazi down with them. And now his wife is dead, assassinated. And Styros like, it's not me. He's like, honestly, I killed none of them. Even though you hired me to do that.
And I just stabbed this,
I just killed this servant.
He's like, I hired you because you're an assassin.
He says it wasn't him. He did kill the wife or the other guys. Someone got there first. Yeah. He didn't. Okay. Reinhardt's wife's corpse is there, which is the lady. And so Sidoni finishes her blood magic, her death magic, and turns his wife's corpse against him. And so
I think that's when you find out that Reinhardt had her killed. Like,
well, he's like, I wanted you to kill my rivals, not my wife. So why is my wife dead? Is what he's talking to Styros. And Styros is like, I gotta be honest, I didn't kill anybody.
I thought Styros killed her.
Well, maybe later. This is a confusing one. So Sidoni raises his wife's corpse and causes his wife's corpse to attack him and kills Reinhardt. And then Sidoni just straight up kills Styros.
Yeah.
She's like, you were the assassin. You lied to me. Die. She visits Henrik's tomb in the, what's that place called? Necropolis?
Yeah.
And Antonia is there. Remember her? Antonia is like, it was me. I killed all the nobles. And she's like, I knew Reinhardt's plan to kill all of the nobles and Styros' plan to kill all the nobles. So they were going to pin the assassinations on the Mortalitazi. So a Mortalitazi, killed them first. Yeah. Which is really dumb. And she used Sidoni.
This did not make sense.
She used Sidoni to kill them and expose their plot so that people would distrust the nobles instead of the Mortalitazi. But a Mortalitazi actually killed the people and then tried to pin on them when they were trying to pin on the Mortalitazi. So I think the Mortalitazi are in the wrong. Anyway, the next day, Sidoni's like, because I don't know, she doesn't want to kill Antonia in this sacred
But she's like, you killed Henrik.
She did kill Henrik.
So all bets are off, lady.
Yeah, and Sidoni lures Antonia into an alleyway, and then it says maybe kills her. We don't know.
She was screaming, so covered. Yeah, she died. She
Screaming
did.
doesn't mean dead.
But she had a girl deliver a note to her in Henrik's handwriting. So did she wake up Henrik?
What if she just knows how to copy his handwriting?
I don't know. That ending did not make sense to me. She could wake up him.
It's so confusing and stupid. This one was dumb.
There was a couple when I was like, what is the point of this? What is the end? Okay, so they had met in an alleyway, and in an alley, they would part. The darkness of the alley with two masked mages from outside eyes, the noise of the crowds would drown out Antonia's screams, and it would be in the time it would take for someone to discover the Mortalitazi's body. Sidoni would be too far from Navarra City to hear their screams.
Okay. So
the end.
That one was weird. Not very good. The Streets of Minrathous
by Brienne Batt.
Again.
So she wrote Hunger.
Okay.
Which was the werewolf one.
So this one's about Nev Gallus, our girl Nev, who's in the comic and in Veilguard as a companion and a romantic option. Nev Gallus is following a Venatori named Quentin. He goes into an alley to meet somebody and gets stabbed. The masked figure who stabbed him got away and stole Quentin's gold chain. He talks to Quentin. Someone's talking to Quentin as he dies.
Yeah.
I don't know who. Is she doing it?
Yes.
Okay. He swears. He's like, I'm not a Venatori. I swear to you.
So she was hired by his family because he was part of the Venatori, then he quit, and the family didn't want
That
to
be associated
embarrassed by him.
with the Venatori.
I'm like, okay, whatever.
So he's like, I'm not a Venatori, I swear. We find out that this is when we find out that it's Neb Gallus, but I already told you that. She meets up with
She was the Templars.
not yet.
Oh.
Quentin's uncle to tell him what happened.
Oh yeah, he's like, oh,
because he's the
so
one
sad.
who hired her to do this, and so then the next morning
He doesn't care that
he
his
doesn't care.
nephew's dead.
The next morning, Nev is met with Knight Templar Reyna and Javis.
She's like, dude, this guy died.
Reyna is in Veilguard. I just met her. I don't know about the other two. Because it's Javis and there's like a Brahm is the other one who's kind of like the meathead. Who tells her a Venatori named Lady Verantis was murdered.
In her room.
Killed pretty similar to Quentin in a kind of ritualistic way. And they took her necklace too, just like Quentin.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be what's marking the victims, is this necklace.
Necklace killer.
So Nev is asking around.
But then the family doesn't want it to be investigated. So, like, all the families are acting weird.
Yeah.
And she was also, Lady Ventaris was also a Venatori.
Venatori, yeah. Nev is asking around, or an ex-Venatori, we find out. These are all ex-Venatoris, basically. Quentin was trying to get someone out of the city, is what we learn.
Yeah.
Nev runs into a hooded old man, and he tells her that another Venatori named Paxis was murdered last week by somebody named Elena.
Mm-hmm.
He gives Nev...
Aaliyah.
A-E-L-I-A.
Mm-hmm.
Aaliyah. He gives Nev a medallion on a gold chain and
he
says,
dips.
it's the same as Quentin's and Paxis's and the other lady. I forget her name. Nev shows the necklace. Verantis. Nev shows the necklace to Reyna and Javis, the Knight Templars, and Javis saw the symbol that's on the necklace, on Lady Verantis' mantle. So
it's on the fireplace exit.
Nev takes the necklace to... she had to fight these Templars to keep this necklace because they were like, we need
give
that.
Give it to us. She's like,
I'm on the case.
I tell you that I borrowed it for investigative purposes.
I need to go do something really fast. So she has to go find someone who knows magical artifacts. So there's like this old man in town.
He's like, I don't want that.
And so she's like, yeah, you're the magical artifact guy, and shows it to her. And he's like, ew, that's blood magic. Ugh, get away from me.
We're closed.
Get out of here.
Get out.
So then she's walking out. She gets attacked by
the person in the
Aaliyah
mask.
in an alleyway. Aaliyah calls the necklace a seal. She's like, whoa, that's juicy information. They fight. Aaliyah uses blood magic. She is Venatori. She talks about it. She's like, Venatori is going to save Minrathous. We're the best cult ever. The necklace broke, and it turns out that's all Aaliyah wanted. She wanted to break the necklace. With blood. Because she's basically, like, killing Nev.
Mm-hmm.
Nev is losing this fight. She's, like, choking out Nev, stabbing her, bleeding her. Nev is messed up. But, like, she left her there to die, but she's fine. She does her best to fix herself. Nev finds a guy to look at the necklace. This is Flavian Batris?
I didn't even write his name down.
Flavian Batris. But she doesn't have...
Wasn't he trying to leave the city?
Yeah. He's trying to leave the city, and she's like, well, you have to look at this necklace first. Really important. She doesn't have all of the necklace, so they just kind of talk about it. Flavian says there's a huge demon under the city, and Quentin, Verantis, Paxis, Aaliyah, and Flavian has the seals to the demon prison.
Oh, because... So Flavius is we find out, was the guy that gave her the necklace in the first place. And he's like, no take back these.
No,
you took it.
I don't want it. Because all of these people who had the seals, besides Aaliyah, who's a Venatori, they were like, I don't want this responsibility.
No.
So Corypheus, who's the main villain of Inquisition, wanted to release the demon after he won the fight against the Inquisition. LOL, he loses. Obviously, you beat him in the game.
So it's like his promise to destroy the
so
city.
Then he wants, because Corypheus is a Venatori. Darkspawn, and he wants to bring Minrathous back. He's basically a Venatori. Wants to bring Minrathous back to its glory days. So he failed, and now Aaliyah wants to break the seals and turn Tevinter back to its former glory, just like Corypheus. Even though he lost. Aaliyah killed all of these people because they got cold feet. So she went to go talk to them about...
those that aren't participating in the ceremony that's about to happen, she killed and used their blood on the necklace.
On the necklace to break it. Yeah. So basically almost all of the seals are broken.
Well, when they go to the ceremony, there's still a group of people there.
There's still a group of people. Flavian says she's in the catacombs and she can go down there via Lady Varantis's mantle. That's a way to get down. There's multiple ways to get down there. But to be honest, all I know is that you can get down there via the mantle. Since all the seals are busted now, earthquakes are happening in Minrathous.
Well, also Neve's like, hey, Templars, you're there
to help. You're like the police, right?
Can you come with me? And they're like, no. The main Inquisitor guy is gonna tie this up in paperwork, and so you on your own.
Yeah, so she's like, fine, I'll go do it myself. Yeah.
Well, the city's we're all gonna die anyway, so I might as well die trying.
So she went down via the mantelpiece to the summoning ritual. Aaliyah and the Venatori, they're starting their demon summoning thing. Nev is temporarily stopped because she's like, she's not gonna stop the ritual just to stop me. So she's like, go take that girl. She's walking towards us. So Nev gets stopped. No, Nev temporarily stops the ritual, but she gets caught.
That's okay, 'cause she's got backup.
And then finally, Reyna and Javis and Braum finally show up for the fight, and they stop the ritual, and they take Aaliyah into custody. The demon is still under Minrathous, and I'm not finished in Veilguard, but I have a feeling this will come up later in my game. They brought that up. There was something that was like, Nev's past is going to come back to haunt her, and then they showed a picture of this blood cult lady. And I was like, I think because she's been taken into custody and there is still a monster underneath Minrathous, that it's going to happen in the game.
And the whole thing is that there's no good people left. But see, there are still some good people left because the Templars came to save
They came
the
anyway.
Day.
The Wigmaker Job.
By Courtney Woods. This one was gross.
This one was interesting. This one's about the Antivan crows.
Yes.
You're gonna meet with Ilario and Lucanus, Lucanus is a companion and a romanceable option in Veilguard.
He sounded hot, so
he's pretty hot.
They talk a lot about his appearance. Ilario is a little bit more in his appearance, but
is also in that game. He's very silly.
Like they're supposed to be attractive.
Well, they have like the Spanish, Italian kind of accents.
Oh, it's the Lucanus de la Morte.
Yeah.
And Ilario.
So they're crows on a job.
Well, before that, it starts with Ambrose as the Wigmaker, and they're like, hey.
Oh, I put a note here. This is where I started to take notes after reading. Is this one?
I'd already started doing that, so that's why the werewolf story was 4 lines.
You told me that, and I was like, I should stop taking detailed notes. So, congrats. This is where I start to get lame.
So Ambrose is the Wigmaker, and he has been warned that the crows are coming for him, and he's like, ha 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 ha! The dragon does not fear the crow. Because he has a big runway show that he's doing, and they're like, you should cancel it, because you have because
the assassins are coming.
Yeah, and he's like, no, it's my art.
No. He's a Wigmaker, so he's a Venatori. He's a Venatori Wigmaker. So they go, so this is the crows. We get Ilario and Lucanus.
They're in like a bar.
They go to the party where he's showing off his wigs.
Well, so
they go to the bar first to talk about the mission. They're like, look, we gotta do this.
They're there. They're to assassinate Ambrose. He is a Venatori. And they're like, okay, we have to go in quietly. There's gonna be this big party. This is the plan. And then they go and they like go into a tree elevator.
You took way more notes than I did.
That's not even in here. I just remembered it. Okay. Because then they meet an elf, and she's there to help, like, make them go across the city, because they'll use that at the end. It reminded me of The Princess Bride when they go into the tree to the torture chamber. But yeah, that's about as far as I got there. So you go into an elevator, and then you hit this grand palace, and they're like on the roof.
But the party's only outside.
Yeah.
They're doing the runways outside.
Also, by the way, the runway models are naked.
They're slaves that are naked, and they're wearing the wigs, and they're like in a daze.
And the wigs are like moving.
The wigs are transforming into like things.
Yeah, and they look wafer thin. These people are not.
These people are not doing well.
Yeah, I'm like, are they alive?
Yes, but they're not well treated.
So
So it was it Lucanus that sees this, where he's like, the magic is tearing into the veil here. There's a lot of magic here. The veil
like,
is
something smells
paper
funny.
thin, and if
I have
the
a headache.
veil,
That's what it was.
if the veil here is paper thin, that means there's gonna be demons, because demons go through the veil. So he's like, there has to be demons here. So they pickpocket the keys.
He sees all this magic happening. There's no way that he could do all this magic by himself. So he's using the veil to help with his magic, and he's like, that's not helping here.
Yeah, he's like, demons are gonna happen. Yeah. So they pickpocket the keys to get inside Ambrose's manor, since the party's outside.
Ilaria like schmooches the main guard lady, who's dressed up, and she's like doesn't look comfortable. She's like doesn't usually wear this outfit, but Ambrose
that
like,
poor guard.
You have to wear high heels for this. So Ilaria gets the keys.
They kill 2 guards on their way in. They run into a slave named Effie, who is super down to have these assassins kill her master.
Yeah,
and she's like,
this guy sucks, man.
I'll keep quiet. Don't worry about me. I won't tell anybody.
They're like, leave. Like,
because Lario's like, we have to kill her. She saw us. And Lucanus is like, no, I believe her. Yeah. It'll be fine. So they go to the Ambrosius guy's cellar, and they find mutilated, malnourished prisoners chained up with long hair. So they're like,
ew. So these people don't have limbs, which was the gross part.
They have limbs.
No, they amputated them.
He's cutting their hair. They're tied up with chains.
No, but they don't have legs. He amputated them.
Well, they have arms. I didn't see that.
He's growing their hair to use the hair for wigs.
Yeah.
So they're like a human wig farm.
They're a human wig farm.
But he amputated them so they can't leave.
So they can't run.
Yeah.
But they like undo their locks at one point.
And
which they can't do anything. So
they're
yeah. Ambrose comes in while they're in there, and feeds the prisoners, because the crows are hiding now.
Yeah.
They feed the prisoners red lyrium, which is why the veil is so thin there, but like no demon. Yeah. Very strange. Red lyrium is like messed up. You guys know what red lyrium is.
I didn't know what it was, but they do a good job explaining it in the book of like what it's not good.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good. Also, just to point out, the Wigmaker has no hair except for his eyebrows. And Ilaria's like, what the crap? This guy has like no hair in his head. He's got no beard. Like he's just eyebrows. He's a Wigmaker. Doesn't wear wigs.
He also like pulls out his servant's hair if they have split ends. That's what he did to the Effie girl. He's like, I hate split ends. So he like pulls her hair out. Yeah. So they're like, where's there no demons? They're feeding them red lyrium to make their wigs magical, I guess. And so
it changes them like to this ashy color, and I think it keeps them in like a zombie state, doesn't it?
Yeah, and if you ingest too much red lyrium, you become red lyrium yourself. So they're like pinned to the wall, and then you grow the crystals out of yourself, out of your body.
Harvest it.
Red lyrium also talks to you and whispers to you.
I love that.
And my favorite thing about red lyrium in Inquisition, it makes this really nice noise that I just like to hang out next to it, and it makes like two marbles rubbing together sound.
Some ASMR.
And I wish that there was like a 10-hour ASMR. You're next to red lyrium dying, because it's kind of nice. It got me. Anyway, so Lucanus is gonna switch up the plan, and he's like, I'm gonna kill him even worse, I think.
Yeah, he deserves to suffer.
He deserves. So they find an elven. It's not an alluvian. That's a mirror. They find an elven artifact on the ceiling, and they're like, that's what's preventing the demons from coming through the veil. So he stabs it and destroys it, and it's demon time. Oops, all demons. They possess the prisoners.
But also, he tells, because they're cousins, right?
They're cousins, yeah.
He tells Ilario to, like, get the people out.
Yeah.
He's like, save the servants.
So.
Take him to the tree.
Take him to the tree. So they possess the prisoners, the demons, and they're also possessing the runway models outside. The crows leave. They see the bodies of the guards are now gone. And they're like, Effie's like, oh, I told the other slaves about your plan, and we removed
They're
them.
so into it.
And Ilaria's like, well, you shouldn't have told anybody. You told us we're not going to. We have to kill you. And Lucanus is like, whatever, it doesn't matter. There be demons now.
Yeah,
get them out.
Get them out. So that's what. Take them to the tree.
Yeah. The slave models are also possessed by demons, and their wigs are becoming weapons. They're like knives.
Yeah.
And they're stabbing the guards. And the guests. They're stabbing everybody.
Mayhem.
Lucanus confronts Ambrose alone. The Wigmaker starts eating hair. His red lyrium infused hair, which turns him into
weird.
a spider abomination. Because if you consume enough red lyrium, you do become an abomination, because it is a magical rock. It's whatever you want, baby.
It would make sense if it was like silk, right? Or like the thin spider web stuff.
He's like, I definitely didn't expect him to turn into a spider. So basically,
so
what
Lucanus
says. Lucanus kills him. The demons fuck off into the Fade because their purposes were fulfilled.
Because there's also no more magic being used, and the magic like brings them out, right?
Yeah. And later it like cuts to this weird thing.
This was the weirdest ending,
and lady named Zara Renata, who is in Veilguard. She's a villain in it, and you have to take her out.
And she's naked. Is
nude. She's checking herself out with a bunch of mirrors that are being held up by slaves. And
she sees an imperfection, which is
she used blood magic to fix her problems.
Yeah.
She's
got stretch marks, and so she uses the blood of a servant to fix her stretch marks.
She's alerted that Ambrose is dead, and Lucanus might come for her next. And she's like, I don't care. A bloody Lucanus meets up with Ilario at the bar, telling him that the job is done and they're ready for the next job Katerina gives them, which is their grandmother. They're both cousins. And Katerina, who we'll learn later, is first Talon of the Antivan Crows. So she's like big head wig of the family.
She's the mob boss lady.
She's the mob boss. And Ilario's basically like, you're going to do whatever our grandma tells you to do, aren't you? And he's like, yeah, you know me. Know me so well. So Lucanus will probably get first Talon for this because he kicked ass at this job.
Next story. Geneventi dies in the end.
This one was weird.
This one was weird.
I don't get the point of this one.
This
is by also Lucas Christiansen.
Yes.
Who did the other one. One of the other ones. I don't know. There's so many of them. There's 15 of these.
Wait.
He did Callback, which I liked, so.
Yeah. This one, so from a writing perspective, I feel like the way he told the story was interesting.
This one was goofy.
Because it's like three people are writing the story as the story is happening. So you have a lot of back and forth stuff.
This one was real goofy.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a nice break after the Wigmaker Job. Because the Wigmaker Job, I was like, oh, God.
That's dark. So you have, like, basically there's four characters. You have a bard
named Philum.
Mm-hmm.
You have a Lord of Fortune named Matteo. You have brother...
Matteo was the driver.
He's the Lord of Fortune.
Oh, okay.
He's also probably the driver.
You have Sister Ladine.
You have Sister Ladine, ex-Chantry, Sister Ladine, because she writes smut.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Brother Geneventi.
Yeah, Geneventi.
You don't know how hard it was for me to not say Giovanni? Gioventi from Dragon Age Origins. He's in Dragon Age Origins. I think you can kill him in that game.
So these are...
He's obviously alive.
Besides Matteo, the three are, like, writers.
They're writers...
And they're sent to find the tombs.
They're tasked to figuring out Finharel / the Dreadwolf / Solus part in the creation of the Veil and the destruction of Elvenon, which is the elvish old city
There's books
that got destroyed when did he make the Veil? I think he did. He made the Veil, caused the elves to not become immortal anymore, fucked everything up because he hated the old gods and he wanted to trap them, and it caused Illuvinon to just get destroyed. Anyway, they're trying to figure out, why did he do that?
So there's this library that they got to go to with all these books. So that's why they're sending these 3.
They go to Tevinter, a place called the Silent Plains. From there, they take a lift to the deep roads.
Mateo seems to know what's up. He's like, yeah, you pull this.
Just go this way.
Yeah.
They come across an elven library in the deep roads.
And they're all like drooling over these books because they're book nerds.
They learn that when Solus, aka Vinharel, aka the Dreadwolf, raised the veil, Elvenon shattered. Many locations and artifacts were torn apart and thrown across Thedas, so that's why there's a bunch of weird artifacts around Thedas because of him. It's all of his fault. They started collecting books, but were ambushed by the Antom, which is the Kunari military, and this one is led by Rasan. The Kunari are also looking for Solus, and Rasan tells us Solus was not his true name. Oh my gosh, no way.
What?
But it was kind of his true name. He talks about it later. He's like, originally I was called Solus, and then everyone kept calling me these other things. It means pride or arrogance, depending on who you talk to, in Elvish. Imagine being called that.
Pride.
Embarrassing.
Well, also, if you're born with that name, like, you gotta
He said
be
that
prideful.
was his original name.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's telling the truth or not. He's the god of tricks and
But
lies.
also, this whole story, you don't know what's true and what's not.
That's true.
That's true. Or is it?
Or is it? She keeps asking our crew of writers about their true names because Kunari don't really have names. They have titles. So she's like, what's your true name? But sister, what's her name? Laudine has had enough.
Yeah.
And chucks a boulder at
well, she
her
tells her
face.
what her true name is, and it's like, everyone's like, what?
Oh
I didn't write it down. Sorry,
I didn't write it down either.
I have the book. I will find it.
They do talk. They're like, why do they keep asking us about our true names? This is weird.
But she knew what was up because she was like, my name is... you never heard my true name. I've never said it to anyone. She lowered her voice as she spoke, and Rasan instinctively leaned forward. Go on, then, she said, bemused. They were almost embracing.
Hot.
Because, Laudine definitely writes some saucy.
Yeah.
Cerebus alit an, said Laudine. She didn't know much of the language. Kunlat was coarser than the ancient Elven, but she said enough. Cerebus literally meant dangerous things.
Cerebus is what they call mages.
The Canary word for mage.
Yes.
Basilit an was a foe worthy of respect. Rasan's grace glen went white. She hadn't bound the captives as mages. And then they used their Papio magic to fight.
Yeah, she chucks boulders at her face. The group runs away. They went across the highway. They're still running. Gioventi and Filium get wounded in the chase. Laudine uses magic to collapse the highway, causing the Kunari to fall. That really intense magical outburst causes Laudine to become tranquil.
But also, Mateo is like kicking butt.
Mateo is the sole survivor of
He's
this
the goat.
expedition because everyone else basically, you have a tranquil, 2 are dead.
Yeah, so this is so they went up the elevator and they're like, oh no, so they're on their carriage and they get shot by stuff and they get hit. Yeah, and then
Mateo's like,
Mateo's
I gotta
the survivor.
As a sole survivor, I must send the report to Varric Tethras. Says he asked for it, and then it turns out that everyone is actually fine. They took some creative liberties with the story, so they gave
Because
Varric
as you're reading the story, there are little like tiny paragraph things in there where it's like they're arguing. Can you write? Do you know what my hand? Can you write? My vision is still on the. So there's like these little.
They gave the real report to Varric who asked for it, but they're gonna take a fake report and they're gonna turn it into a book that they're all writing.
But so the question that I had at the end is because they do mention the Kunari is still after them, and that's why they're hiding. That's why they had to kill themselves in the
story. So they can't and they're gonna use different names. Basically, they decide they're like, we'll just use different names for this. I also can you magical outburst so hard that you become tranquil? I don't know if that's an actual thing or that they just use that
burn out maybe
for suspense. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that story. It was kind of pointless.
Yeah, so they're all still alive.
all you know is that, like, the Qunari are after Solus, which we already knew.
Yeah.
And his name means pride and arrogance, which you already knew if you did extra research like I did. But you also don't need to know that. Yeah. It's so unnecessary.
Because it's like, it's also weird. It's like, you don't know what to believe, what's true, what's not, because it's like all.
I guess it tells you that he destroyed. It tells you about the veil thing, which honestly they tell you about all the time in these, so it doesn't matter. You already know. He made the veil. Elbanon's crushed. Artifacts are everywhere. That's all you know.
Or is it? Because
that's actually what happened. That's actually true. That part's real. Now it's Herold Had a Plan.
Our next story, Herold Had a Plan, and this is by Ryan Cormier.
And
this is his only story.
Because your character in Inquisition, before they're called the Inquisitor, is called the Herald of Andraste. I thought that this was about your character from Inquisition, but if that's the wrong spelling of the word Herald.
Oh, it's a H-A-R-O. Yeah. So that's like a Harkerd, the Herald sings.
It's the wrong spelling, and I didn't realize that until I finished the story, and I was like, oh, that's right.
Well, because Herold dies.
Herold dies in the end. So two dwarf Lord of Fortunes, Barv and Herold, plan to steal an enchanted amulet from the Grand Tourney at Starkhaven. They are helped by another Lord of Fortune, an elf named Elim, and a beefy human named Panshot.
Oh my god.
Panshot.
Panshot. So Elim has multiple accents and wigs, so she's fun.
A lot of Lords of Fortune seem to be that kind of a character. They steal the amulet successfully until the entire city seems to be alerted to the theft, and they're like, what happened? Why is the city alerted to the theft? They're being chased in their escape. Herold dies.
Yeah. And Herold's the one that set this whole thing up.
R.I.P. Herold. Herold had a plan, but we don't know what it is.
Barv is like, I think I might know who to talk to. But Barv is also, his belly's been slashed, and he's like running through the woods. He's looking for a rendezvous point that they are all supposed to meet at, but they're still getting chased.
On their way out of Starkhaven, they're like, who alerted the guards? Like, we were doing so well. All of a sudden, everyone just knew, and we're like, what the hell happened? They think that the beef boy, Panshot, he's dumb.
Yeah.
Did it. They learn that Panshot's plan on using the money from this job was to pay some lady named Lucy to find his sister.
Yeah, this happens way later because they're still running through. They're like, what the heck happened? They go in the river. They go over a waterfall.
I was so unnecessary. I was like, they're just running.
Of course, there was always the waterfall, which is like, yeah, that's true. There's always the bridge. This is a quote that I really like because it's definitely true.
What?
Of course, there's always a waterfall. The bridge always collapses, and the unlocked tomb always has spiked hammered traps.
Oh.
Nothing's ever easy.
There's always a light puzzle in this tomb. Yeah. I don't know why the ancients love light puzzles so much, but...
Yeah, so Lady Lucy is supposed to help find his sister, but this dude is just dumb.
This dude's so stupid.
Because she's like, his sister is supposed to be a Grey Warden, which means you don't have family anymore. So
that's not 100% true. You can still have family.
That was kind of the thing that they were talking about. Is like, I said I may find her. Like, I could if I wanted to.
But they think he's getting scammed because he is.
Yeah, he is. He has a sword, which they're like, where'd you get that?
He also suddenly has a great sword, and he didn't have that before. And they're like, he had an axe before. Like, where did he get that? So
there was also this, they mention it very briefly, where they talk about the person who won the tournament before. He had died, and so there's this whole, memorial for him.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But that becomes important
later. Keep a pin in that.
But it was such a random thing that I was like, what is this?
So the elf Elim asks, who are they selling the enchanted amulet to? And Barv is like, only Herold knew.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know it's a squire. That's all I know. And they're like, great.
I think
awesome.
I'm supposed to meet him at this point.
Super cool.
Kind of find out. They're like, well, why does he want the amulet? The amulet has special healing
powers. That's the thing. The Starkhaven guards catch up to them eventually. And they're like, I don't care what I just want the sword.
Yeah, the sword.
But they're like, I would be happy to kill these thieves too. But like, I just want the sword. Turns out that Panshot stole Celebrant.
This is the name of the sword.
Which is the sword, which you can use in Dragon Age 2, I think. The sword awarded to the winner of the grand tourney.
And that's what Lucy wants.
Yeah,
She
Panscott
wants
was
the
going to give it
sword.
to Lady Lucy as payment for finding his sister.
And I put all of that for a sword.
And Panscott dips. He, like, runs away.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we have to go after him. He's the problem.
Yeah.
So Barb and Lim pursue him.
So then they run into Lady Lucy. Right?
Yeah, Panscott immediately, when he dipped, he ran straight to Lady Lucy, who wants the sword because...
It belonged to her late husband who won the tournament last year.
Gallus. He was a Grey Warden. And he won the tourney.
It should be his sword.
But he was murdered.
He died.
He was murdered by his fellow Tawny Knights. And then they robbed her house and stole the sword.
But then the guards that come, they're like, we didn't do that. Like,
yeah,
your husband died in an accident, lady.
The Starkhaven guards show up. A fight breaks out. Lim and Prescott kill each other.
Mm-hmm.
Barv is badly wounded. The guards leave with Lucy and the sword. I think they did it. I'm going to say anti-Starkhaven guards. I think they killed this lady's husband.
For sure.
And then stole the sword.
So
but they're like, we didn't do it.
Yeah. So they all die except...
Barb is like dying on the floor. But he's like, the enchanted amulet has healing powers.
Yeah, so he survives. He does find out who Herold wanted to give the gem to. And then...
It's like Bavia, who's a character from the comics, I put.
But he gets nothing for it because they're going to send it to the hospitals.
So Herold wanted to bring the amulet to Tevinter to help refugees. Yeah. So they're not getting paid for this job. Yeah,
but
Herold just had a big heart. So
Including
that's the end of that. All right.
The next one was one of my favorite stories.
You just like old ladies, I guess.
This was the Old Crow's Old Tricks.
An Old Crow's Old Tricks.
Is it Aaron?
By Aaron Lebray.
And this is Lessif.
Chinchel?
Oh yeah, that was the
We start
lady.
With Chinchel. Chinchel, I think, is a Tevinter soldier. She's kind of racist. She's trading with this old lady. The old lady gives her a scarf. And Chinchel's like, ew, this smells like elf. Did you get this from a Dalish elf? Because it is stinky.
Chencels.
And I don't
But
like
Chenchel's
it.
also has been taking her stuff and like selling it and making a profit off of it.
Yeah.
And so this old lady's playing a long game.
So the old lady is like, oh, you don't want the scarf? And then chokes her out with the scarf.
It would look so good on you. Let me help you put it on. And then, she kills her. And she says, Lessif of the Antivan Crows has fulfilled the contract.
They like saying that.
She says it several times in the story.
Apparently, Chinchel was part of a group of soldiers led by Magister Biclius, who slaughtered a camp of Dalish elves, and there were kids that they killed too.
Yeah, because they're setting up this camp, but there's somebody else
for resources
at the camp. They didn't want to compete for resources, so
they just killed the entire camp.
So I think there are a couple that survived, and they hired the Crows.
Hired the Crows, this lady,
and she goes after each of them.
Yes, so
get it, Grandma.
There's like a man whose uncle was part of the clan. Mm-hmm. And hires, this is Lessif?
Lessif is the old lady.
Lessif is the old lady, the crow that they hired to kill the members of the group, and Magister Biclius.
Talons, is that what you're talking about? The 7-foot tall dude?
I think so.
Yeah.
He's confused me a little bit. So Lessif kills a young soldier, and his officer.
Yeah, there's two. They're arguing.
What's your favorite? You can go.
And
I took very little notes.
I took even less, but I didn't
your
write the
favorite one. You should take so many.
Really good. So after she kills the lady with the scarf, then there's these two soldiers who are arguing. One is a
younger
soldier, and he's supposed to be tending the fire. And he's like, "You're not doing it right.
I'm gonna fire you after that. I'm gonna."
He rips him a new one, and then all of a sudden he's like, Don't turn your back to me. Listen to me." And
I'm still your commanding officer until I get you fired tomorrow. So talk to me.
So do the fire right, like I said. And then he gets closer, and that guy's dead.
He got his throat slit.
Yeah, she's got these
It's probably like the wire thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the garage, but she's got these thin needle things that she throws at.
And then she shows up to kill the bigger guy.
And then so she makes it so that that it's all like smoky, foggy, and this guy is running around, and he ends up at the same spot again. He's like, oh shit. And so she says again, she's like, Lassif of the Anti-Crows has fulfilled the contract. And then the whole thing is this magistrate
Bickley. Which is the dumbest name.
They say that
ever.
He's like this like huge
He talks
rock
about
guy,
how big he is
short.
for like 2 pages. He's like, I'm so massive and
Yeah.
everyone's scared of me. I'm a big boy.
And then they tell you how short he is.
He's just a buff boy. He's a short king.
But he is in this. His tent is elaborate, and so he's like, you see this metal pole thing? He's like, yeah, I kicked someone into it, and they died because they didn't do it
And
right.
then I used their body to hold up the tent because I'm such a badass.
Such an asshole. But he has this table that he has had engraved with all the people that he killed, and but Lassif also engraved the table.
Lassif just shows up there and is just standing there, and he's like, oh, another crow has come to kill me. Let me tell you all my terrible deeds.
Yeah.
And Lassif is just sitting there, like, and ruining his little thing, like, scraping it out.
Yeah.
And then
she scraped his death in
he
there.
scraped his death, and then eventually he sees that, and he's like, what? And then fights.
He definitely like
my table.
I could see this as a boss battle because it's the one where you have to have them run into certain things.
Yeah.
And so she has the lamps in there and lights everything on fire, and then of course that middle pole falls. Like he runs into it, whatever, and so he dies in the fire.
He dies via
and so
fire
she's
pole.
running through the camp because they're all coming
They're
to get
all
her.
chasing after her.
And this 7-foot tall guy, older guy.
I was confused. Okay, so this guy, Tansley,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, is he a Kunari? Or is he in a Kunari armor? Or is he an elf?
I think
Because
he's
it's a
an elf.
Dalish camp, but
Yeah.
he's in Kunari armor?
Yeah.
Because
It doesn't fit him right.
It
'cause
doesn't
he's
fit
tall.
him. He's on a boat.
And he's waiting for her.
Lassif runs down the hill
And
being
jumps.
chased by Tevinter soldiers and jumps on his back,
Mhm.
basically. And he's like, no one's going to want to mess with a giant Kunari because they just think he's a Kunari because he's in the armor. But I was very confused because I was like, wait, he's part of this clan, so he has to be an elf. But he's like in Kunari because he's like, why would anyone want to mess with a Kunari?
Yeah.
And so he's in Kunari armor, I'm thinking.
Yeah. And he starts running away, and then she like falls
They
asleep
backed
next to
off
him.
because they don't want to deal with a Kunari. But he's not. And then they travel off together.
And she falls asleep because she did her job.
yeah.
And
that's
they're
it.
cute little old couple.
Are they a couple? He just hired her.
I thought he was talking about like that there's like
But he calls
dude
her
ready.
like mistress and lady.
Yeah.
But he also was the one who hired her. It seems like they're old friends.
Mhm.
Unless she was working on this job for like years.
No.
Which could be the case.
I got couple vibes. So.
But like couple five, they're so fast. She had to have either been working at this
I think she knew them.
and
She
killing
knew the
them.
Dawlish people.
Well, she did play the long game with that lady with the scarf.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I like that story.
8 Little Talons by Courtney Woods.
I
is
also liked
next.
this one, but
This is like a murder mystery.
yeah.
So that's fun.
There is a dramatist personae, and I was like, is this going to be a play? Because it lists all the
It lists-
characters,
so
so all 8
here's
of them.
all of the crows, and you need to know. So you have Caterina della Morte, head crow, first Talon, old, mean, and they talked about her previously.
Oh, you put, so this, yeah, it's just a list of characters. Are you adding extra
I'm
stuff
adding
in
little
them?
fun
Okay.
facts. So then you have second Talon. I said second hoe. Second Talon.
It's
Dante
Balazar.
Balazar, lyrium addict, tried to stop lyrium addict. He tried to stop lyrium.
Yeah, he's in
He had
withdrawal.
relations with one of the other crows, Andrea
Yeah, it's
Taya. They call her.
Yeah, they call her Taya. 'Cause she's got a crazy name.
So he had relations with Taya.
They had a previous relationship. Third Talon?
Lyra Volstetti, Valesti.
Valesti.
Inherited the role from Claudio Valesti, who was the antagonist of The Silent Grove. I took that note from the person on Reddit because I don't know what that means. But fun fact!
Fourth Talon is Emil Cortez.
I just put good at their job.
There's not a lot of information. Like, there's a lot of information about the rest of the Talons. And,
Emil?
And
He's
he
just...
was under the radar for sure.
like, all the information I got from him was that he was good at his job. Sometimes.
5th Talon, Veilguard de Riva?
The river. He's in Veilguard, too.
Viago.
Poison expert. Bastard son of the king of Antiva.
Does he get nicknamed in this one? Do they just call him, like, V?
Yeah, it's just V. So he's a prince.
But it's, like, his perspective, and then it's Tea's perspective, right?
I think so. I don't know.
I think you get their two perspectives.
He was in the Deception comic that we didn't read, but he was in there with Tea. Tea was in it. So, fun fact. Okay, next one.
6th Talon is Boulevard Nero.
Boulevard Nero, elf, alcoholic, dumb and mean. Get fucked, Boulevard. And the most important one of them all.
And Dorothea Cantori. Also Tia.
Also just Tia. We're just going to call her Tia.
Yeah.
She's an elf. She's the youngest Talon at 28. She's hot and she knows it.
She's got a lot of clothes.
She had relations with Dante and she was in the comic Deception with Viago.
And then the 8th Talon is Julia. Or Julie?
Gluli.
Guli?
Guli.
Arani?
Alright. Elf related to Zevran, that bitch from Origins who tried to kill me. Who failed to assassinate your character, damn straight. And so it caused disgrace to that family. Because Zevran sucks. Unless you romance him. I don't know if his romance is any good, but I'm really mad at him. So I will never, ever romance Zevran.
So the 8 Talons are meeting on this island to talk about the Kunari coming. And you start with Viago de Riva was brought to by the frantic rocking of his carriage. So he wears gloves and stuff because he's super paranoid about poison.
Germaphobe. Well, he's the poison expert, so he would know.
Yeah, and he brings a bunch of poison with him because he's trying to make
they organize
himself immune.
I guess.
But it's Katarina's Del Morte's house that they're going to on this island.
On an island. It's not her house.
Oh.
It's just a villa that she rented out on an island. It's also said to be haunted by the ghost of Queen Madrigal, who was killed by the crows. So she thought it'd be funny to end this place out. But
and
what you need to know about Antiva is that it doesn't have like a military force. All it has is these crow assassins. It's run by the mob, basically. There is a king, but it's run by the mob. Like how they said Navarra was run by the Mortalitazi, Antiva is run by the crows. So this is important to know. But the Kunari, they're like, if the Kunari come and attack, all Antiva has is these crows to fight these.
So they're meeting on this island to figure out what to do about the Kunari. They're like the heads of their houses, so this is a rare event that they're like, why are we all meeting in one spot? Isn't that just easy way to take us all out? Like, this sounds stupid. They're like, well, we have to meet eventually. We might as well just meet at once. So they show up. The Jude and Taya are they're not the last ones.
I don't know who's the last ones to show up. I just wrote that they all showed up.
All of her stuff, like Tia's got like a bunch of the boats to take them there. I know that
Tia's being weird about one of them. Is it Diego or is it V? She's being weird about one. She's like, I was holding his hand and then now I'm not. I remember we had a relationship.
That was Diego because he was playing tennis with the other lady and they were all sweaty when they showed up and she was like, what's happening? We used to date, now we don't.
No, we don't. Now I'm feeling jealous.
But she's all flirty with
everybody.
Viago.
All the time. Including your character when you play the game. I can't be mad at a character who's hot and they know it though. Like I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. You win.
Slay queen.
Slay.
Do we want to make this long or short?
What do you mean? I have a lot of notes here, but
I just wrote the important parts.
Oh, okay, I'll go off. You can let me know if I missed anything.
They go to dinner.
They go to dinner, but Lyra, the 3rd Talon, did not come down for dinner. So they're
one that was playing tennis, or
she was playing tennis with Diego.
Is his name Diego? We're just being curious.
It's Diego. Okay. Is it? Damn, don't second guess it. No, it's Dante.
Dante.
I'm so stupid.
Inferno.
I'm sorry. It's Dante.
I said Diego. It's my fault.
This is all your fault. So she was...
Lyra and Dante were playing tennis.
We're playing tennis and we're all
was it tennis or was it... It wasn't tennis.
Badminton? I don't know.
They were doing...
They were fucking.
They were...
Quote unquote playing
what is
tennis.
Where you do the swords. What is that called?
Fencing.
Fencing.
That's very different. What do you mean tennis?
I don't know why I thought they were playing tennis. They were fencing. And so, everyone goes up to their rooms and gets ready for dinner, and they come down, and they have to wait for everyone to show up. And so they're all hungry and
cranky.
Yeah, and Lyra's not coming down.
They're like, where's Lyra? We need to eat our food. So.
And Dante's like, well, I'll go find her. And
they're like, no.
Lady Caterina Delamorte is like, sit your ass down, old man.
Viego,
you and Tia.
And Tia go check on her. And oh my gosh, she's been murdered. The same way Queen Madrigal was. 4 blades straight to the chest.
Mm-hmm. And not just any blade. Like the blades look the same.
It's like a copycat murder for sure.
And do they go to tell the rest of the house?
No! They investigated themselves.
Yeah, of course. That's
I mean, that's smart. Because obviously, you're in a room full of assassins. Somebody's been assassinated. You're like, okay. I wouldn't even trust the guy standing next to me. No. And be like, okay. They investigate. She was taken by surprise because she doesn't seem to have fought back at all.
Did you guess correctly who the murderer was?
I didn't.
I did not either.
I forgot.
Except for...
To be honest, this murderer, I kind of forgot he existed.
Yes. And I think that was on purpose.
That was the point, yeah.
And it wasn't until the third... Because there's multiple murders in this. It wasn't until the third murder that I was like, I know who it is. Because at first, I definitely thought it was the Delacourt. I thought it was the lady that brought them together.
Oh, yeah?
Because it's her house. And she
fair.
sent them up to the room. I was like, oh, it's her.
But by the time I read this, I met Katerina. Okay. So I was like, there's no way. Okay. There's no way. I met her already. She seems chill.
So there's, is it a lyrium? What is that substance?
Lyrium? There's lyrium under her fingernails. Yeah, it's blue. So they're like, it has to be Dante because he is an addict.
And then, Viago, is his name Viago?
Yeah.
He was like, that's too obvious.
It's like somebody put that under there on purpose. Tia
tells Viago that, hey, Dante's got a problem. Yeah. And so they're in on it together.
Yeah, they're gonna work together now.
Yeah.
But they don't tell anybody.
No.
They just go back down and eat.
No, they go back down and they're like, she's dead, and then everyone comes up and they're like, oh, there's powder. It must be Dante.
Must be Dante. They all point fingers at Dante. They're like, it's you. But nobody does anything about it.
Well, they get locked in their rooms.
They do? Because my next thing is next morning.
Yeah. Well, it's like, everyone go to your room. Like,
we'll figure this out later. Yeah. Go to bed. The next morning, 8 servants were poisoned while eating lemon cake.
So that's all the servants. There's only 8.
That's all the servants. Yeah. So they're like, poisoned must be Viago or a Kunari agent. They also think maybe
there's someone else on the island.
Katerina's pretty sure it's a Kunari agent, but everyone's like, it has to be Viago poison, obviously.
I mean, technically it is. She was right, but...
Then they find another dead one, right? Because Tia basically wakes up and somebody, I forgot who comes in. Somebody's like, there's been more murders. And she's like, oh.
Well, yeah,
someone else has been
Viago,
murdered, and they're like,
she
it's
makes
more
them
than
make
one
her
person.
coffee. She's like, I need coffee. I can't do this without coffee. And it was like, well, it's all probably poison. She's like, well, you're the poisoner. Make me coffee.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, there's more murders. It turns out that Jaluvi, what's her name? The 8th Talon, the
Jaluvi?
stupid Zevran one, his throat was slashed, right?
And she's wearing pearls that she may or may not have been wearing before, which is another copycat murder from
classic
a
crow move. Tia and Viago plan to get Dante to fess up because they still think it's Dante.
Because
Viago has the hots for Tia, by the way.
Who does? Oh, Viago, yeah. Well, so Viago and Dante get locked into their rooms because of the Illyrium and then because of the poisoning.
Yeah,
So they
Katarina's like, you guys are prime suspect numero uno. You're locked in your room. But
and
then
so
Taya goes and talks to Viago.
She picks
comes
the
up with
lock
a plan
and is like, hey, like, let me tell you about Dante. Dante's got a lot of skeletons in his closet, and he's like, well, that's just kind of obvious. Like,
yeah, she's like, I have a plan to get him to fess up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna sleep with him. and he's like, why are you telling me this?
Yeah.
Because she wants him to put a truth serum, basically.
Yeah.
They call it an influencer, but I didn't like that. So
and so he puts it on her lips.
Puts on her lips, but he was like, oh, the sexual tension of him putting it on her lips.
he has to touch her lips.
Because he's like, ooh. It's like, okay, don't lick your lips and all that stuff. So she's gonna go seduce Dante. And she goes into Dante's room and seduces Dante kind of.
And Dante just
really
spills
fast.
the beans.
She just like walks in and is like, what's up, Dante? And then makes out with him.
I'm so worried about you.
So it turns out Dante and Lyra, the first murder, was engaged.
Mm-hmm. Secretly.
It's not him because he OD'd on lyrium during the murder.
And passed
he was
out.
poisoned, but like the poisoner fucked up. And so he just passed out and didn't die via the lyrium overdose.
Oh, and we find out also that Lyra and Julia?
What?
I'm going to call her Julia.
Okay.
The one that had the pearls or got her throat tipped.
Yeah.
They were lesbian lovers.
I didn't write that down.
Yeah.
We also find out that it can't be Bolavas because he's too poor to be the killer. Basically, they were like, somebody can't afford those pearls and all that other stuff. So it can't be him because he's too poor. Mm-hmm. So it's not Dante because he was OD'd on lyrium and like attempted to be killed, but he wasn't. And it can't be Viago.
He just had the Illyrium was just like in his room waiting for him, and he's like, "Oh,
he's like, don't mind if I do."
So she's like, "Obviously, that was a setup. You got set up for this."
But then Viago's like, "Well, if he got unsuccessfully poisoned, then it's not me because I would win. I'd be successful."
It's like, how stupid is that?
But it's not Viago. It's not Dante. It's not Bolara because he's poor.
Well, because he had the pearl diving, but Dante bought it from him.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have enough money, so Dante now has the pearls. So
Dante
is doubly
But they say
implicated.
it's not him because he was OD'd out on lyrium during the
out.
time. But then he thinks it actually is him because while he's under the truth serum, he's like, I think I might have killed her because I OD'd on lyrium. And Taya's like, I don't think he did it. I don't think he did it. So now the blame is either on Katarina or Immel. And I think we spoiled it for you because you know it's not Katarina. So at dinner, they hear a thump.
Well, so Viago and Dante are still locked in their room.
They're banished in their room.
And everyone's having this really awkward dinner of like cheese and crackers because that's the only thing.
They have like cold cuts and crackers.
They're like, we can't cook anything.
Because they can't cook. They have no servants.
And they don't trust anyone to not poison.
I would say the Antivan crows are useless, but I have to say that what's the guy that is from the other Antivan crow one? Lucanus.
Yeah.
He cooks in the game.
Oh, okay.
He's a good chef. So not all crows are lame.
He's Italian.
Not all crows are lame. He's a real winner.
So yeah, they're having this awkward thing, and then she hears this thump outside, and she's like, this is maddening. Like, what is happening?
What is that? So Tia and Immel go check on Dante, and he's hanged outside of his window via the bed sheets, just like the assassination of Prince Esteban.
And so they tell you the story of that, and then she's like, wait, there's a second part to that story.
Like his mistress or something had a adder in
a black adder, a snake
in her closet, and that's what killed her too.
And she's like, oh no, Viago. And we find out Viago, who has the hots for Taya, was like, let me get naked.
Get naked.
The only time he takes off his gloves, and he goes to change them in his little like changing thingy, and
he opens his wardrobe and there's an adder in there, and the adder bites him, and he's like, well, I'm the poison guy.
Yeah. And I've been giving myself poison all this time to try to build up my immunity.
Who would try to kill the poison guy with poison?
Stupid. And he has the antidote for it, but then
he has the antidote, but Taya has to inject.
He can't get it because it's
like,
weak. So she though is like, oh no, and so she ends up helping him out.
They also find out that Dante was strangled first.
Yeah.
They noticed
He
from
was
his
smothered,
face.
right?
Yeah, he was smothered first, and then he was hanged
Mhm.
to do the staging. Yeah, and then that.
Sloppy crow.
So Taya, well, we already did that. And Taya tells Viago of Dante's murder, and Viago's like, I have a plan. Because remember, Dante still has the like truth serum on his lips,
Mhm.
so whoever smothered him is gonna have, and the truth serum is like glows.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it glowed under black light, but it just glows.
Yeah, he would have smothered it with his hand, so
Yeah.
it would be on your hand.
So he's like, I know whoever has it on their hand is gonna be the killer. So they come downstairs and they're like, well, everybody who's still alive. Let me tell you our plan. We did this truth serum thing, so anyone who smothered Dante will have it on their hands. So give me your gloves, dummies. And Emil
Automatically, without even having them test it.
Katerina's like, yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
so is Bolivar's like, yeah, whatever. So Emil's like, okay, fine, you caught me. All right, I'm not going to give you my gloves because I am the murderer. So,
They're like, what the crap, man?
yeah. So it turns out Emil was approached by a Kunari
It's
who
like,
are coming to invade Antiva.
it's inevitable.
Told Emil if he killed 7, they could keep their way of life when the Kunari invade and they don't have to submit to the Kyun. Which actually does happen in Veilguard. They are under occupation of the Kunari in that game.
Well, he killed... I mean, the servants don't count, though, right?
They don't count. They're allowed to...
So he killed 3.
They are allowed to keep their way of life, though. So
But
technically...
he does. Does he die, too,
He
or
does
no?
die.
That's 4.
Unless the servants do count. I don't know. But the Kunari do kind of let them keep their thing when they invade in the game. I'm pretty sure. So he also wanted to destroy the other houses so that he could take all the power into his own. He is killed by the other 4 Talons, but mostly Katerina, who smashes him with her cane.
Yeah, she does.
And that's that story.
2 more?
2 more. We have half up front.
This is stupid.
Videus Moreno was hired by a mysterious... Oh, this is by John Epper. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Epper. I didn't say it.
Epler?
Videus Monario was hired by a mysterious woman to find and steal back an artifact called Dumat's Folly.
She was the magistrate's daughter.
She was a magistrate's daughter. Videus Monario is a mage thief who was the daughter of a magister who got disowned when she fell in love with an elf servant named Ira.
So she became a thief.
So Dumat's Folly was originally in the Archon's palace before it got stolen. So this mysterious woman who's giving her the job, I'm going to be calling her the client because she will come up again.
Yeah, she's like, okay, Dumat's Folly, I need you to find something and steal it back. Something that was stolen and re-steal it.
Yeah. So she gives her this artifact that's supposed to resonate to the actual Dumat's Folly, so that way she will know that it's the right one.
It's a piece in it, yeah. It's like
a
Scrabble piece.
So, Vadis tells her girlfriend they're practice fighting together, and so she lost, and she's like, I got us a job. And she's like, that job sounds stupid.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that job.
Don't do that.
But she's like, oh, we need the money, though. And she's like, yeah, you're right.
So we can travel together.
Iran doesn't want to go, but they need the money. So they go to the Archon's palace anyway. They sneak in. They come to this room where like all of the artifacts are displayed, and Dumat's Folly's area is empty.
Yeah.
The, like display case is empty. The artifacts have like a magic alarm system.
That one is like double magic
Vadis
alarm.
noticed.
Which is weird.
She's like, so if these were stolen, the magic alarm would go off. But the magic alarm around Dumat's Folly's case was blocked.
It was like mirrored.
So she's like, the thief has to be a mage. You know that much. They see a floor tile as askew, so they're like, the thieves tunneled out via this tile. The tunnel is only a couple of days old, while the blocked magic is like weeks old. So she's like, 2 thieves. Weird.
So she was like, because museums do this sometimes, where they'll take the artifact and they'll replicate it, and they'll put the replicate out just in case someone, puts their grubby fingers on it or throws, tomato soup on it.
Oh.
And so that the real artwork doesn't get damaged. But she's like, so either the original was here and it got stolen, and so then they put the replica there, and that also got stolen, or the replica got stolen, so they're like, oh, let's put the real one here, and that also got stolen. So 2 stolen artifacts, and one of them is real. Who knows?
So they
end up tripping off an alarm, though.
Yeah, while like looking at the magic alarm, she sets it off. So they're like, uh-oh, and they have to escape through the tunnel that the second thief made, I guess. And inside the tunnel, they find Ben Hasrath orders and a replica of Duman's Folly. So they're like, this is the Kunari's fault.
Yeah, so she puts the little trinket on it, and it doesn't do anything, so she's like, replica.
Yeah, this is the replica, this isn't real. So,
but come to find out.
So Vadas uses blood magic on the orders to track where the thieves went. Classic Tevinter Magister. They went to Conter in Ravane, so Ventus and Irene go there too. They track Duman's Folly to a ship. They sneak on board and they investigate the cargo hold.
And she puts the magic puzzle piece on.
It's full of magical artifacts, including Duman's Folly. And then they get ambushed by
the lady that hired them.
The client. The client turns out to be an agent of Finharel / Solus / the Dreadwolf. And it turns out that it's not the real Duman's Folly, but a weapon that can absorb all the magic around it and then explode.
Because the real Duman's Folly was in the cave.
The real Duman's Folly was in the cave. So the client stole the real Duman's Folly, replaced it with the explosive one because they knew the Kunari were going to steal Duman's Folly anyway. So then the client dumped the real one in the tunnels because she didn't need it. But weeks later, the Kunari stole the explosive one, and the client made the magic alarms, and the Kunari dug the tunnels. But if the Kunari dug the tunnels weeks later, then how did she dispose of the fake one in the tunnels? If the tunnels didn't exist.
Maybe she did the tunnel, but the Kunari didn't use the tunnel.
Maybe. But their orders were in there.
Oh.
So they did use the tunnel.
Yeah, this one did not make a lot of sense to me. And so she wanted to basically them to take the ship to their like homeland or whatever it was, but then kind of find out, no, that's not what the ship is for. The ship is for potentially dangerous magical items. So which is why it's on a ship.
They hired her to track the explosive folly, knowing that it was heading to Conter, and she wanted to implicate a Tevinter mage in the destruction of a peaceful Kunari settlement. Finharel wanted to start a war between the Tevinters and the Kunari. That was the goal. Mm-hmm. But she, the client, also needed to find the bomb and use the rune that she gave Venetus. So she gave her Vedas. She gave her the rune, and she needed it. That
sets off the bomb.
So, like, I don't know. It's stupid.
She couldn't find it, so she needed her to find it because she was good at...
So Irene takes the client out before they can interrogate her, but before they can interrogate her, she drinks poison and dies. This is their elf girlfriend. Irene is like... Yeah, anyway. The explosive folly is what I'm going to call it now, is absorbing all the magic from the artifacts in the cargo hold. And to make sure the Conter doesn't explode, they sail the ship a few miles away and escape on a lifeboat. And then the ship explodes. And then Venice and Irene meet Gat, which is an elf from the Inquisition who is part of the Ben Hasrath. He's a Ben Hasrath agent, so he's Kunari. He's from Conter, and he's like, thanks for not blowing us up. He says that Ben Hasrath will remain neutral for now, but the Dreadwolf is after you. For now, except if you're the Dreadwolf, then he's gonna try. He's there. God. Gat is from Inquisition. He's a Ben Hasrath agent. He lives in Conter. He's like, thank you for not blowing us up. We're going to remain neutral. Unless you're Solus / the Dreadwolf / Finharel, then we're going to kick your ass because we're really mad about this. So they're going to try to stop Solus, but since like Finharel agents know them, I guess, they have to go into hiding. And he's like, why don't you go hang out with Varric Tethris in Kirkwall and give him the info on Solus that you now know, and then he'll give you Job. And they're like, cool, we want Job. That sounds great. So they go to Kirkwall and they hang out with Varric.
Also, the reason why the story is called Hop Up First is because they get paid. She's like, I'm going to triple your pay and give you... So she takes, not half up
Half
first.
up
Which
front.
I was like, why is it called half up front when she doesn't get half? I don't know. It was
She got half up front from that lady.
she
Because she didn't want to take the job, and then she was like, I'll give you half up front. And then she's like,
Yeah, but she was like, okay, I'll triple it.
all right.
So she gives her like the full pay up front then, and then
That's good because she
She's
dies.
excellent,
She needs
wasn't
that.
gonna pay you anyways because you was gonna blow up.
So that one's
The last story is The Dread Wolf Take You, and this is by Patrick Weeks, who wrote the first story.
So this one it has a lot of juicy lore in it. Very important to Veilguard. I didn't take notes because the notes that the plum person from Reddit made was better. So I'm just going to read these off.
I also did not take notes, but
She didn't even care. You know what? She didn't even care.
I
I'm over here doing extra research, and she's like, you know what? Screw your Dragon Age. Like, I don't even know what that is.
I have a very good memory, and so
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, we're going to test that.
Yeah, and I have the book, so
The notes from the person online have connections to the comics, which I didn't know. So I think it's better notes.
Is Charter in the
It's
comics?
better notes. Charter's in Inquisition.
Okay, because Charter is our like
Charter's
main
very
character.
important in the Inquisition. Not really, but like also. So Dreadwolf Take You.
They're at like this weird bar place, and Charter, there's a hornless Cunari as their bouncer, and this is called the Tea House. And she's gonna go for a meeting.
She's going for a meeting, and she's meeting a Carta assassin, so a dwarf. She's meeting a Mask or Elysian bard, a Mortalitazi woman, and a person called is it Executioner?
The bard.
No,
sure
there's
you said the
someone else
bard?
called the Executioner.
Oh,
From across the seas
Yeah.
beyond Thedas to discuss the Dreadwolf's motives and means of accomplishing them. So they're like gonna tell each other stories about what they know about Solus. So she shows up at this bar, and this bar knows her, and they're like, so she's Carter?
Charter.
Charter is like a fake name because this bartender's like, oh, you like your
Is
tea?
it this
like
one,
this?
the Samite with the thin mesh? Dark Rose of a
Yeah,
Varantian Samite.
Yeah, maybe. There's just a mysterious figure called the Executioner.
They're all wearing masks too.
Except for the assassin, I think.
Cortez.
So yeah, they all go meet at this, and they're all gonna tell their little story
She
about.
gets tea, and the person there was like, 2 sugars, right? And she's like, you remember?
Oh my god, you remembered me.
This reminded me a little bit of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, because they're each going to tell a story.
They are each gonna tell a story. So the Carta assassin's gonna go first, and in his tale, the red lyrium idol was retrieved from the statue that used to be Meredith. So in Dragon Age 2, the Knight Templar Meredith goes insane from red lyrium, and you fight her, and then she becomes a statue. And inside of her is
Another statue.
Is this idol, and this is the idol that
Is there a picture of it?
right there. Does not look like that in Veilguard.
Also, they
It's
said it
strange.
was like 2 people, right? Like,
What do you mean?
I thought the whole thing, it was like, it looks like 2 people.
It's been in the gallows. Her statue has been in the gallows courtyard since the end of Dragon Age 2, and no one's ever touched it. Nobody wanted to deal with that, which I
Because
find very funny.
The idol looked like 2 different things to 2, like they looked similar, but it was like ended up being like 2 people embracing.
It is
or
2 people embracing.
Where's the second
There's this person. That's their head. That's their arms. That's the other person.
Mm.
You see? But that's their back.
Yeah, I guess.
That's their butt. So yeah, the lyrium idol from inside Meredith has been retrieved by an agent of Fenherel. The idol was stolen then by ex-Templars who sold it to an associate in House Quintara. Magister Quintara actually died a long time ago, and an agent of Fenherel had been impersonating him. Now, we know that this idol, I think, is what Varric figures out that he's searching for in the comic. So the Quintara pretender sold the idol, to Tractus Denaris, the bastard son of Fenris's former master. Fenris is the elf companion from Dragon Age 2. In exchange for information. Presumably, Solus did not oversee this, as he most certainly would have not have approached. Now he's got to get the idol back. So he wants the idol. We know he wants the idol. And that's basically the cartel guy's story.
The
cartel,
guys?
yeah.
So there's an elf, and he kind of tells them where it's at, and so they're working with the Templars, and the Templars, like, they're like half on guard, so it's like nighttime, and so half of them are sleeping, half like the assassin guy telling the story is like chit chatting with another Templar by the fire, and then the people sleeping, like something happens where they're like twitching, and then they all like die. They had like a fit, like epileptic. And
what are you talking about?
This is the assassin story.
Oh, the Carta assassin?
Yeah.
Oh.
So they're like twitch. So the people and the elf too that told them where to go, and then all of a sudden they get rained on by arrows. Right? What's this one out?
Bro, I don't know.
Yeah. Then when arrows come through the window and leave the Templar pinned to the wall, so the elf gets shot, but then all the people sleeping are also dead, and this person like barely escapes. Someone else took off with the idol, and he's like, "Oh, I know poison." So I know poison's the assassin growled, leaning forward, and I know magic, and I know which killed my boys. So he thinks that they were killed by magic. This does not help us eliminate the wolf. You might as well suggest we throw a rock at him. You stink of lies and fear. This is the executor turned to the under the hood. So he's like, I don't believe your story. I believe the dwarf. I have information that supports it. I believe I know where the idol went after it left the house Quintara. And so the
Mortalitazi goes next to tell her story. So she was approached by a servant of Tractus Dentaris, who hoped to perform a ritual that would manipulate the Fade and the creatures within to drive the Kunari out of Tevinter. The ritual involved blood magic and the red lyrium idol. Suddenly, the Dreadwolf appeared, and he is described as no elf, no mortal mage. It was a beast unlike any I had ever seen.
And he's like, stop using that magic.
In appearance, by the size of a high dragon with a shaggy spiked hide and 6 burning eyes like a pride demon, and it came up to us on wings of fire that resolved themselves into a horde of lesser demons, and the Dreadwolf declared, "You used my idol carelessly to vandalize the Sea of Dreams. From this moment, should ever you bind a spirit, then your life is mine." All involved in the ritual, save a young man and a woman recounting the story, were killed. The men fled with the idol, which he returned to Denaris from the beginning, who was sold the idol to. The Mortalitazi woman believes Solus is a demon, while Charter believes he may be allying himself with the demon. And that's how that story goes.
He intends something for the Fade,
What's
and if
funny
he wants the idol, then whatever he intends.
The Mortalitazi lady is so terrible because she's like, yeah, they were using servants in this blood magic ritual.
But I didn't know until the end.
But I didn't know that they were doing that, and I saw them do it, and I was like, well, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, we're in the middle.
Like, we're in the middle of it. Like, I want to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm totally, like, against using slaves for blood rituals. I want everyone on this table to know that. But I didn't want to stop them because, like...
And then at the end of each of these stories, the people that are listening to it is like, bullshit!
Everyone's like, that's such a lie. Yeah, so she's like, I think he's a demon. And Charter's like, I met him. I know him because she's part of the Inquisition. Mm-hmm. She's like, he's not a demon, but he might be working with one. I don't know. When the assassin and the executor start arguing, the bard comes between them, gently touching the executor on the arm. The bard is next to tell his tale. Denaris hopes to use the idol to get himself into the Venatori. Whether he succeeds or not, he no longer possesses it. For the bard found the idol in a Ravani auction house. It was kept in a ritual chamber, which also contained an alluvian. Solus entered through the alluvian and departed with the idol. I can believe that.
Oh, this is the one where he was, like, sneaking in. So the bard was, like, sneaking in, and then, like, the Kunari, like, bust open, like, the wall. Mm-hmm, and this, again, at the end got called out, like, bullshit.
Bullshit.
They're like, if you were they work alone, so you wouldn't have someone else there with you. And yeah, this is the thing that irritated me about this story is, again, you get 3 stories, and the whole last part of the story is how much all their stories are bullshit. So I'm like, what am I reading a story
about? The
about
Daenerys
nothing?
guy showed up in 2 people's stories makes me feel like that actually happened, though.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure. So, yeah, they were like, Solus, it was in an auction house, and I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And Solus went through the alluvion just to grab the idol and dipped through the alluvion again. The card assassin and the Mortalitazi both accused the bard of lying, and then began accusing each other. Meanwhile, Charter has noticed that the executioner has not... Is it a cuter?
Executioner.
It is executioner.
Right.
Has not EXECUTOR.
Executor.
Oh my god, it's executor. I can't read, so it makes this job really hard. Has not moved since the bard has touched him, and the bard never drank his tea. So she pieces together that the bard in the mask is Solus.
Dun, dun, dun.
His cover blown, because she's like, I'm talking to the bard. Please let me live.
Yeah.
and
everyone's like, what are you talking about?
And they're like, we're not going to kill you, Charter. And she's like, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
Bard, please let me live. And everyone's like, what? And she's like, I think that's Solus. So his cover's blown. Solus turns the assassin and the Mortalitazi into stone. He and Charter...
Oh, she says, I asked for my life. That's what
I
she
asked for
repeats
my
it several
life.
times. And they're like, I'm not killing you, Al. I need to get something useful out of this.
He and Charter have the following exchange. I would caution you in dealing with those across the sea, he said. They're dangerous. More dangerous than the elf who threatens the world, Charter asked, and was rewarded with a twitch of his lip that acknowledged the point. Why'd you come? Why'd you personally? I wish to know what all of you knew, he said, gesturing at the table.
Suckers.
There are many of you, and you are not fools. As for me, coming in person, the Inquisition was involved. And he returned to his seat. Why did you come? She shook her head helplessly. Because you told the Inquisitor that you were going to destroy the world, she said. Did you expect us not to try and stop you? He sighed. It was a moment of weakness. I told myself that it was because all of you deserved to know and live a few years in peace before my ritual was complete, before this world ended. Then perhaps we are not the only ones you lied to, Charter said. You do not have to do this. His look pinned her. I have no choice. What I'm doing will save this world, and those like you, the elves, who still remain, may even find it better when it's done. Charter considered lying, but then she thought of Tessa, it's like her girlfriend, I guess, with a quick smile and a strong hand. We didn't bring that up, but she did bring up Tessa like once.
Yeah.
Those who I care for... Wait. Those...
There are those I care for who would not.
He smiled sadly. I know that feeling well. I'm not a god, Charter. I'm prideful, hot-headed, and foolish. And I'm doing what I must. When you report back to the Inquisitor, his voice faltered. Say that I'm sorry. Ooh, this is spicy. He feels regret, as we know.
Did he poison the other people then?
He turned them to stone.
Oh, okay.
He can do that. Remember from the comic? When we went to go talk to that Venatori lady and she was stoned, and we were like, that must be Solus.
So the very last sentence of this, again, is after all, the Dread Wolf wasn't going to stop himself. So he does say, he says, when you report back to the Inquisitor, say that I am sorry. And he walked away.
Ooh, baby. Spicy. Love that.
She drank the rest of her tea, her fingers shaking a little. She looked at the dragon mask at the table. Yeah, so they were all wearing masks. That was part of them coming to them.
And that's it. That's the last story. It's the longest episode yet with the biggest book ever.
Lots of little stories in one.
That took us so long.
So our next read
is also a big chunky book. Thanks a lot, Elise.
You're welcome.
Who picked a big chunky book after a big chunky book.
Because I've already read this book.
Are you not going to read it again?
No, I'm going to read it again.
Okay,
so
good.
This will be a reread for me.
It'd be so rude.
But this is Metro 2033, Dmitry Glukhovsky. And so this is the book that inspired
And not
the game.
only do I have to read this giant book, but I also have to play the games now.
They're short.
Thanks.
They're pretty short.
So I can be prepped to talk about it. All right, well, see you next time.
See you next time.